offered by the state Senate must be comparable to the bill that the Alabama House passed just last year. That bill failed to pass in the state Senate by one vote. Ledbetter says the House won't take time to consider any lesser bill, and any effort to reform gambling in the state must first originate within the state Senate. Ledbetter's statement comes after there are reports circulating that the Porch Band of Creek Indians will be offering a gambling bill this year. The PCI recently purchased a Birmingham race course from the McGregor family and also hired a high-powered lobby firm out of Montgomery, Fine and Getty. This indicates that the PCI is poised to seek some sort of gambling legislation from state lawmakers. I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Are you enjoying 1819 News? If so, consider joining 1819 News as a member. As a nonprofit news organization, we depend on the support of Alabamians like you. Memberships start out as little as $5 a month, and you'll get access to exclusive content only offered to our members. You'll be supporting independent journalism done by people who cherish Alabama values. Become a member today by visiting 1819news.com and clicking Become a Member. That's 1819news.com and click Become a Member today.
Igloo is recalling 1 million of its coolers sold across the U.S., Canada, and Mexico due to a problem with the handle that has resulted in fingertip injuries and even amputation. The Igloo 90-quart flip and toe rolling cooler has a toe handle that pinches fingers against the cooler. There have now been 12 injuries reported so far with this hazard. The cooler is sold at stores like Costco, Target, Amazon, and Dick's Sporting Goods. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
Hi, this is Bo Goodson with the Goodson Group with your Real Estate Minute. My last message was the report for 2024 real estate market in the River region. According to industry experts, they predict for 2025 we will have more inventory to choose from for our buyers, more buyers for sellers to show their houses to. Here are 5 tips for buyers or sellers in 2025. Number 1, sellers need to price their home at fair market value with the help of your realtor. Number 2, buyers need to be pre-qualified by a local lender prior to shopping for a house to save them time. Number 3, use a certified residential specialist or CRS to purchase or sell your home. Less than 2% of realtors nationwide have this designation. You need an expert now. 4, use someone with 48 years of real estate experience to help you with your largest investment. Number 5, quit waiting. Now's the time to buy or sell. Call Bo Goodson at 221-2883, the Goodson Group, or 551-0225.
When it comes to protecting my family's future, I want a life insurance company that's at the top of their game. That's why I got same-day coverage through Ethos. There was no paperwork, no waiting around, and no medical exam. I just answered a few health questions online, and Ethos set me up with a $3 million policy for about $2 a day. Go to checkethos.com and get it done today. That's CHECKETHOS.com. Checkethos.com. Sample rates is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
Lowe's knows how to help you get the most out of your store run. That's why members save more with My Lowe's Rewards. Earn points towards My Lowe's money on eligible purchases. Get access to member-only deals and free member gifts. Plus, unlock free standard shipping when you reach Silver Key status. So what are you waiting for? Join for free today. Lowe's. We help. You save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
This is where legends begin.
Saturday on the CW, a new season of the NASCAR Xfinity Series kicks off live from the iconic Daytona Superspeedway.
Let's go win a championship!
Reigning champ Justin Allgaier tried to stop Austin Hill from taking home his 4th straight Daytona victory.
I think that we could get the job done this year.
The NASCAR Xfinity Series, Saturday, live from Daytona, only on the CW.
The
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
I got hairy legs.
This is the Trump country. We live in the southeast. We drink sweet tea. We don't drink socialist Kool-Aid.
Is cocaine stronger up? Yeah. So you're way up with cocaine more than anything else you can think of.
That'll turn you into a damn owl, homie. You know what I'm saying?
After damning politicians uphill and down dale for many years as rogues, vagabonds, frauds, and scoundrels, I sometimes suspected, like everyone else, I often expect too much of them.
Joey Clark.
Welcome into the program here on a Friday. Thank God. Because I don't know if I can take all this winning. There's too much winning going on, and we've already seen the winning here in our own country, our own nation. We started to see some of the winning in our, say, own hemisphere with all these South American, Central American countries, the Greenland conversation. And now I think we're starting to see some winning in Europe. No Eddie today. He's still sick. He really is going through it, yeah. Hope he gets better. But Craig Monger's here as usual on a Friday. How you doing, Craig?
I'm doing well. I was suffering as Eddie was last weekend.
How did I miss all this?
I don't know. You're just a healthier specimen, I suppose. You know, just immune.
Yeah, I suppose. Or I'm part alien or something like.
Maybe, but yeah, like I couldn't. It hit me and the entire family too. Which when you're trying to suffer through the stomach flu and your wife and two babies have it at the same time, there's no time for self-loathing.
That the small kids are kind of petri dishes. Like every parent, my brother included, I'm like, you just get all sorts of stuff.
I think that typically happens with people that put their kids in like daycares and schools, which I don't do. So I've never noticed anything. But the problem is, it just makes it no matter what, whether they go to daycare or not, it's always like a ring around the rosy. So it works its way through, and so as soon as someone's healed, the last person that got sick tends to get the first person re-sick, and round you go. So it typically runs through you about 2 or 3 times.
Ugh. See, this is why I just go to my humble hobbit hole and enjoy my tobacco and read things.
It's a good life.
In a second, I want to get to, and I think we're going to start and stop and do the full 15-minute J.D. Vance speech to the Munich Security Conference. I'm doing that because it's that good. I don't want to just show a 2-minute clip or a 3-minute clip. I want you to get the full context. This guy knocks it out of the park. And it's about time somebody in the lead of the United States government, I would say the vice president's pretty high up, said to our allies, to our supposed friends in Europe, we still want to be your friends. We do share common values. In fact, we share a common civilization that stretches back thousands of years. But because we're friends, I don't think you're owning up to those values and to that common history we have. In fact, y'all seem to be using the tools of the very Soviet Union that we defeated together in order to suppress the voices of certain citizens in your country. I don't want to give specific examples because I think J.D. Vance lays it out beautifully in his speech. And already folks are like, oh, he's intervening. The Americans are intervening in European affairs. Well, you take our money, right? Could you have these massive welfare states, these massive governments and support safety nets without the United States subsidizing your defense? Now, you have some leaders in Europe saying, yeah, we're on board. The NATO chief says Trump is right. Time for us to grow up. We should do 5% of GDP spending. But it's more than just the spending on the military. It is censoring people's speech. It is locking up people for praying silently It is so many things they're doing over there, and they fancy themselves democracies. They fancy themselves free societies, and J.D. Vance said it to their face. Every major leader in Europe there at that Munich security conference said it to their face, y'all better get your act together. Then he went into mass migration, citing the terror attack that just happened there in Munich. Like, we see this every few months here in this continent. So I thought it was a wonderful breath of fresh air to see an American leader not do the usual bureaucratic niceties with the Europeans, but say, you know what? The deal that we made after the Second World War, it's stale now. And we still want to be your friends. We still have things in common. But y'all got to shape up because we're changing too. Now, there are other things going on other than that J.D. Vance speech. I just watched it this morning, got all hyped up. We're already getting little light in their loafers, I guess. These European trolls, or I don't know if they're Ukrainian bots or something. Like, I never get those. But just putting that in the title of this thing, that J.D. Vance tells Europe how it is, I'm already getting European trolls. So you're not real, is how I feel about y'all. So it must have smarted in a particular way. But you also have Marco Rubio, if we stick to the foreign policy theme, saying to the Arab world, you don't like Trump's plan on Gaza, and nobody likes it.
Nobody.
Okay, I get it. Nobody likes it. A lot of Americans don't like it. The Arab world doesn't like it. Israel probably doesn't like it. Rubio's saying to the Arabs now, you don't like Trump's plan, offer a better one. And you're already starting to see some movement from Egypt in that regard. Yet, as all this is going on, like this, and it is sort of a master class of how quickly they've reset the chessboard of geopolitics. They start with what? Canada and Mexico. Then it stretches into the southern part of the Western Hemisphere. And, okay, we're going to make very clear to the all that are trying to fight back, we'll throw tariffs on you, and we'll put you in your place after you bellyache about this. We're going to make deals with Argentina. We're going to make deals with El Salvador, the two nations in that part of the world that are really on the same page as us. Okay, and we're also going to start talking about Greenland. So there you've secured your Western Hemisphere. Okay, what's the next step? You go to Europe. You say, you're our allies. After Europe, you go to the Arab world. You go to Russia. You go to China. It's almost like every step of the way they're building the foundation to be able to project the most leverage and the most strength, in particular with the Communist Chinese Party. So I think it's sort of amazing that all this is going on. But where does this go? You know, great power competition never ends well, right? Right? Well, I heard yesterday one of the best things I've ever heard an American president in my lifetime say. I don't know if you caught this yesterday. This was after RFK Jr. was sworn in. And Trump's doing the usual sitting at the Oval Office desk, talking to the press sort of thing. He also did some fun stuff. Roasted Mitch McConnell and Caitlin Collins all at the same time. It was a masterclass in roasting. But that's not what I want to talk about here. It's this statement from the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. The best statement I've ever heard a modern president make. Now, maybe it's my bias here. Maybe I'm biased towards, not wanting war and peace and our wealth going to waste, being made into weapons. What am I even going on about? Well, Trump can speak for himself.
Well, we have the greatest military equipment in the world. We're building it. At some point, when things settle down, I'm going to meet with China, and I'm going to meet with Russia in particular, those two, and I'm going to say there's no reason for us to be spending almost $1 trillion on military. There's no reason for you to be spending $400 billion. China's going to be at $400 billion. We're at $1 trillion. We're going to be at close to $1 trillion. And I'm going to say, we can spend this on other things. We don't have to spend this on military and I'm going to be meeting with China. We were trying to de-escalate nuclear, and I was in a position where Russia had agreed and China had agreed we were going to start, and then we had a rigged election, so that never took place. But this one was too big to rig. We won by so much that it was too big to rig.
And of course, that drives a lot of the legacy media press corps crazy. But he goes on to say, he kept talking about it in more detail. Yes, I would want a 50% reduction in global military spending.
Wow.
So as he's telling the Europeans to get stronger, as he's putting Central and South America on notice, you got to go, well, what's the point of developing all this strength and leverage as you're going into negotiations? What's the end game? It's denuclearization and a 50% reduction in global military spending. That's one of the best things I've ever heard an American president say.
Yeah, by a lot.
Absolutely beautiful. By the way, have you had a chance this week, Craig, to watch what's going on nationally, or you've been stuck at the State House and covering the legislature?
I'm certainly not as informed as I am whenever the legislature's not in session, but I try to keep up. But the problem is it's going so fast, it would be difficult to keep up with, like, even if I wasn't doing something else.
Right. Yeah, I'm having enough trouble myself.
I've got a little bit. I've been following the Doge and the Big Balls drama, like, and finding out about that young gentleman. I honestly do wish, like I like the trolling.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm almost like, I want to see grown-up Elon. But then as soon as I think that, he says something brilliant, or the Democrats just say something crazy, I'm like, these people aren't to be taken seriously, so don't deal with them seriously.
Well, and he posted it, like when he gave a speech recently, Musk gave a speech to the Arab world. Where was it? I think it might have been Dubai, where he's building a big tunnel there. The Boring Company is going to be. And the whole time he's like zooming in, and it's on a huge screen for this huge auditorium. He's wearing a black t-shirt that just says tech support on it. And then he reposted an image of himself wearing that shirt saying, have you tried turning the government off and turning it back on again? And it's like, it's the corny stuff that's even like endearing. I think having little X there on his shoulders as they're doing that press conference in the Oval is just a great touch.
Oh, yeah.
People comparing it to John Kennedy's son there at the Resolute desk. And, you know, little X, Elon's son, he was done with that. I mean, you have more experience this than I do, but he was done about 5 minutes in. Like, he's picking his nose on national TV. He's telling the president, Trump, to shush. Like, it was all way too cute by him. So
yeah, the kids will do that. It's like every once in a while you'll be talking, they're just like, they just get a burr under their saddle, or they just get real bold, and they're just like, shh. You're like, excuse me, who do you think you're talking to? I can just squish you. And then they look all cute, and then you have to kiss them and you forgive them.
Right. At one point he was like, hey, stop it. All right. But he's literally putting his fingers in his dad's ears as they're trying to ask him a question about, why are you destroying the federal government? What's your role exactly? Well, I don't know if you caught this, but the next target for Doge?
IRS?
Yay! The IRS is going to be audited by Doge. It's beautiful.
Beautiful. But another thing that's beautiful, just keeping on the subject, I have loved, first of all, seeing Donald Trump and his progeny up through the campaign of like his grandkids and his kids and all the love that they seem to have for them. And now you're seeing J.D. Vance and Elon Musk just carting their kids around everywhere. It's been beautiful to see.
It's great. And I just, J.D. Vance continues to impress me.
Oh, yeah.
And this new Trump administration, it is night and day compared to even, especially 2016, or even say around 2020, 2019. Trump is, I've been saying this all week, but it bears repeating. Great interview just done by Chris Williamson of Piers Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
Piers was on the Celebrity Apprentice on the first season, won the Celebrity Apprentice that first year they did it. And he said, I spent probably easily over 100 hours with Donald Trump through that process. Most of those hours not on camera. We're just, no mics going, we're just being people. And he said, I never saw that guy I got to know in 2016. I didn't see that guy in 2020. It was always Mr. Tough Guy, Mr. Bombastic. I never admit I'm wrong. I'm always serious. I'm always, throwing provocative stuff out there, which Trump is brilliant at. But Piers said after Trump was shot in the ear, he started to see that guy he got to know for those 100+ hours. And I noticed when Trump first got back into the Oval Office, and it's continuing each time he does these pressers from the Oval Office, he's much more relaxed. He's still got the zingers. He's still got the little insults when somebody's annoying him or he thinks he needs to put somebody in his place. But he's also very relaxed in a way I've never seen the man. And I think part of that is because it's not just Trump now. You have Elon taking most of the heat. Or now that you have Robert Kennedy in there, it's beautiful. J.D. Vance is a force unto himself as well. And so it's not just Trump, it is a team that's really working well together so far. And this, by the way, it being Valentine's Day, the execrable press, the Politico, put out a thing, 9 MAGA breakups we hope for.
Oh.
as like, we hope Elon and Donald Trump break up. We hope Howard Lutnick and Scott Bessent break up. Like, it's all these teams. So as you're seeing this Trump team come together, and I haven't seen something like this in a long while. Maybe I wasn't paying attention because I was a child in the 90s when Clinton and team came in. But the youth, the media literacy, how good every single head of every department is on camera and delivering a message. We'll play some examples later, whether it's Lee Zeldin at EPA or Doug Collins at Veterans Affairs. Not to mention Tulsi Gabbard, Bobby Kennedy, and they're still waiting, by the way, on Kash Patel. That'll be next week when the vote is actually held. But, you know, putting this all together, I'm happy. I'm incredibly happy. And also, just another delicious note. I don't know if you caught this, Craig. What did Doge initially take over? Like, how did Doge get, like, root access to all these systems in the federal government?
I just assumed that it was granted to them by whatever department head or whatever.
Remember back on Obamacare, they rolled out healthcare.gov?
Yeah.
And it was a disaster?
Oh, yeah. I remember very vividly.
And they had to call in the Silicon Valley guys who fix it up very quick for very cheaply. Well, in that process, they created something, I believe it's along the lines of the Digital Services Agency. In order for healthcare.gov to work, it needed to be able to communicate on the back end with every other department.
Yeah.
So, Doge took over the Digital Services Agency. And with their technical know-how, essentially got access to everything.
Wow.
Now, they haven't gone through every single department, but they were able to. It's brilliant. You put out an executive order, you're going to cooperate with this. They look, okay, who is the most insubordinate? USAID. And people have described it as the fight they just took to USAID over the last couple of weeks was like being thrown in prison, and you go up to the biggest, baddest guy there in the cell block and you punch him right in the nose. That was that sort of move. It's not the most money, but it is the most insubordinate. It's the most globalist. Like, we can do whatever we want, and we're for doing humanitarian good things. How dare you even touch us? They're like, okay, well, we're going to touch you.
I'll touch you all over.
Yeah. And so it's amazing that the Obamacare saga is actually kind of the roots of Doge and these digital whiz kids coming in. And Trump said the other day that it started with 12 people, moved up to, 50 people. It's now in the hundreds of people working at Doge, all super hardcore. They brought in 8 sleep pods, that's the name of the brand, the 8 sleep, which I've looked at them, way too expensive for me.
I know I don't want to buy one, but I really want to just try one.
I do too. It's so cool.
What if they did that? Like, they had like an internet cafe, but just for napping,
right?
Like, where you just go
and you can try out a pod, fancy pod,
and they have like a whole array of like sleeping aids or like snacks and everything. Right. And I think that's a great business idea.
Well, and so they're bringing those in for the Doge staff to optimize sleep to where they're going to sleep like a good 4 hours. Not like you're in bed 4 hours and you roll around. No, we're asleep for 4 hours and then we're going the next 20 and not stopping. And the team is growing bigger because I think the big appetite, and Jeff Dice kind of confirmed this talking to him yesterday. I asked him, what are you most looking forward to Doge getting into? Like, there's something delicious about the IRS being audited, as they've audited Americans for years. There's something great about breaking USAID in a way. But the big meal, and I think Dice is right about this, is DOD.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that it takes the teeth out of, Jasmine Crockett was yelling and belly aching about, the Republicans aren't looking into defense contracts and all the defense spending. It's like, oh, we're gonna. And when Elon is asked to his face, like, hey, what about you, all your billions you're getting? He goes, go look at the SpaceX contracts. Tell me it's not the best thing the federal government's ever paid for in terms of value, like the confidence there. And I think he's got a point. He's got a very good point indeed.
Yeah.
So as you can tell, I'm happy.
Oh, I'm thrilled. It makes me very happy. Like, I would have preferred if they, like I said, if they started with some of the DOD stuff, because that would have been that's been my goal from Jump Street. But again, that's being persnickety. But yeah, what Doge has been doing, it's so fascinating, the rhetoric too. You mentioned Jasmine Crockett, like they really they really are screwing the pooch here by putting her in front of a camera whenever you're having a identity crisis as a political party.
Well,
It's
there are a
it's
lot
not
of
good.
folks saying, no, we like her feistiness.
No, they don't. Nobody likes that.
Yeah.
Nobody likes that except, like, I honestly, I can't think of who does. I can't think of who looks at that other than other women who cares. But they're just like, yes, queen, you go,
Yes.
sister. Like nobody showed up to vote for Kamala. Like, so you're appealing to the same people that didn't show up and vote for your black female candidate. Like, I don't understand. And now you're putting David Hogg as the head of your.
And Carville apparently went on some epic rant.
I am typically very sick and annoyed anytime I see Carville open up his mouth, but his whole rant about the DNC and the Hogg thing, I read it 85 times. It was so spot on.
Because you can tell Carville, love him or hate him, is a fairly brilliant political mind. Was a big part of that whole Clinton success in the 90s. So you take a guy who is very hard-boiled in his politics and how he understands politics. He's clearly liberal, but he's not like crazy woke progressive. He's very practical about his politics, but he's also an old man. And so to see the crotchety old man who had been a political genius that gave the rebirth of the Democratic Party in the 90s, to see it all just blown away. And we played it yesterday. A lot of this whole let's cut waste, fraud, and abuse stuff. There's clips of Al Gore and Bill Clinton saying the same things. There's clips of Barack Obama saying the same stuff. Y'all never did it. That's the problem. They're actually doing it.
Isn't it so funny that through all these years of people being like, yeah, we need to get rid of corruption and waste and transparency and government efficiency and blah, 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 blah. And meanwhile, all it took was a couple of guys with some know-how and a few laptops to come in there and completely dismantle this fraudulent spending practice that's been going on in Washington forever. These people never wanted to actually see transparency or to see the waste or the fraud go away. They never wanted, and everyone's freaking out. And it's like, he has access to this. Elon Musk, he's performing an audit. Like,
yeah.
He doesn't have the authority. Nobody elected Elon Musk. It's like, no, he's not an elected official. He's conducting an audit.
Well, and I love, because I wrote about it earlier this week, and then Elon kind of proved me right, is I think Musk's greatness, some of the secret is being willing to fail publicly.
Yeah.
Like his rockets blow up publicly, all this stuff. Like he's not afraid to make mistakes in the spirit of moving quickly and getting it done in the most efficient way possible. So the whole condoms in Gaza thing, you were wrong. It didn't go to Gaza. Like, well, where did it go? Well, to Gaza and Mozambique. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. A lot of stuff I'll say, I'll probably make mistakes. I hope you correct me. When's the last time you heard somebody in politics say that? It's beautiful with his, but anyway, for all the changes, there is still some old school Trump out there. For instance, this is Trump signing the big certificate to make RFK Jr. the health secretary, the head of HHS. And Caitlin Collins, River Region's own, she tries to butt in as Trump's signing. Watch this.
Oh, that's a good one.
Mr. President, you won the White House in part because of high inflation. If your tariffs make prices go up...
Excuse me, we haven't asked you to speak yet, please.
Oh my gosh, that's so lovely.
Yeah, I didn't ask you to speak yet. Excuse me, we haven't asked you to speak yet. And then
I could probably get Trump in touch with some people who can tell you what she did at the Pratt Clock Tower, but that's beside the point.
Well, it didn't end there.
Oh, it didn't? Oh, please.
Because she asked another question, and then here's Trump somehow insulting Caitlin Collins and Mitch McConnell all at the same time.
RFK Jr. as the next health secretary, citing conspiracy theories. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I feel sorry for Mitch. And I was one of the people that led. He wanted to go to the end, and he wanted to stay leader. He's not equipped mentally. He wasn't equipped 10 years ago mentally, in my opinion. He'd let the Republican Party go to hell. If I didn't come along, the Republican Party wouldn't even exist right now. Mitch McConnell never really had it. He had an ability to raise money because of his position as leader, which anybody could do. You could do it even and that's saying a lot. But, the fact is that he raised.
Oh man,
he's having too much fun. And he does seem much more relaxed, but the zingers keep on coming. I mean, he didn't even stop there. I think he's just like, you know what? The one group, CNN, well, there's another news organization we might get to that they completely banned from Oval press gaggles and Air Force One press gaggles.
Was it AP?
Yes.
Yeah.
But here's Trump again. He just can't let go of the CNN Caitlin Collins thing.
And this should have been done by Biden years ago. This should have never been allowed to happen. I know he's a friend of yours.
But couldn't Putin just withdraw his
He's a friend of
today?
CNN. That's why nobody watches CNN anymore, because they have no credibility. Okay, who else? Yes, please. And this
Yeah. So you still get a little of that old Trump.
Yeah, but I do. Can you blame the guy?
No.
It's like he's 100% right. And these are the same people that have been lying about him for so many years.
Yeah.
And probably, let's be honest, probably contributed to the fact that someone tried to take a shot at him more than once.
Yeah.
He's a Russian asset. He's a Putin puppet. He's a this, he's a that. He's a traitor, tried to overthrow the government.
Right.
We wish him the best and a speedy recovery. Oh, shut up.
Right. Well, we got to hit a break here. First, this part of the program brought to you by Pest Pro Services, and their Pest Pro Ashley and that fantastic team are ready to help you out with any and all of your pest control needs. Though right around the corner, termite season, mosquito season, they can help you with both. It's very, very good service to get ahead of the game. For instance, if you go to the windowsill and you accidentally put your foot on it and it starts to disintegrate like it's sawdust. Oh, that's kind of late in the game there, guys. And it's going to be expensive. And that's the problem with termites. They can be eating through your property and you really don't know it. So the best scenario is you get Pest Pro Services out there, and for a reasonable fee, they treat your whole property and where you really don't have to worry. Or if you're suspecting termites, they can come out and inspect, see if you have an issue, and they can solve that problem. But you don't want to wait until where the termites are swarming through your home. It's like something out of a horror movie. And when it comes to mosquitoes, you don't want to be bothered when you're in your own backyard. Why not, for very, very reasonable fee, have Pest Pro Services come out and treat that yard for mosquitoes? Again, all this is right around the corner. But any pest control concerns you might have, they can help you out. Call them up today at 265-9990. That's 265-9990. Or you can always go to ppsriverregion.com or just search Pest Pro Services on the Book of Faces. When you want to know, call a pro. Pest Pro Services. And be sure to tell Ashley and that great team that Joey, the fellow on the radio, sent you.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
This is your roving reporter, and today I am talking with an elk. Hey man. Mr. Elk, I was just wondering, what do elk do to take care of their money? Well, like most smart folks, we call David Ernest. You mean Alabama's most favorite asset preservationist? That's him, man. We call him up at 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. I see. Yes, he is our preferred money man. The money man with the money plan. You've been paying attention. Well, could you give us those numbers one more time? 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. And I just want to try to give you a heads up, man. Oh, what's that? I'm not an elk. Not an elk, huh? Well, then, pray tell, what are you? Knights of Columbus. I am not even going to make a comment. Well, the baby liked it.
Hi, this is Jason with Wholesale Hunter. We've been advertising with Blue Water for a while now. We have great results with them. Appreciate everything they do with us.
Did you know that radio is the #1 reach platform in all of media? It's true. Call us to find out how to put radio's #1 reach to work for your business. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folks helping local business.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, where over-the-road dump truck drivers are needed right now. Home twice a week and every weekend, must leave early on Sunday with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Call them now at 855-777-9785.
We're enjoying a brief break in between storm systems before that next significant threat over the weekend.
On this Valentine's Day, sunshine, breezy, cool, high temperature up to about 63, mostly cloudy, maybe an isolated shower tonight. Overnight low temperature down to about 50. Saturday's high up to about 75. Risk of showers and thunderstorms breaking out Saturday afternoon, but then Saturday night and especially through the overnight hours, a rather significant severe weather threat, including the threat of tornadoes. We're watching this storm system carefully. Overnight low 58. Could be a leftover shower early in the day on Sunday, then breezy and colder. We'll be in the upper 20s on Sunday night and barely up to about 51 by Monday. That's President's Day. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Budget Floors and More is your low price leader for everything you need for flooring and DIY flooring installation supplies. For the best prices on luxury vinyl plank, carpet, ceramic tile, flooring installation supplies, and more, shop Budget Floors and More, Hunter Lane across from Del Rey to Publix.
Live, local talk. The River Region's most trusted voice for news and opinion. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. I'm your host, Joey Clark. Craig Monger here in the studio with me.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Or maybe you had some funny mushrooms earlier and I'm a figment of your imagination.
If that's what I'm hallucinating, I have deep, deep problems. I probably need to go just take a nap.
You know what I've been hallucinating? They're dreams. They're not hallucinating for some reason, and I don't know why. Actually, I do know why. I've started watching, following this page about Dutch culture, and a lot of it is like Dutch politics and just the Netherlands in general. And I've been having the best dreams of walking through the Netherlands and just eating all of their pastries. So I need to go to the Netherlands.
That's kind of pleasant.
It is. Dude, I'm telling you, this is the first time in recent memory where I haven't had consistent nightmares at night, because it's just a thing that I've had since I was a kid. For like the past couple of weeks, I think maybe I can thank whatever stomach flu Eddie has, so maybe we can ask if this is a common occurrence. But ever since I got the stomach flu, it's just been pleasant dreams of touring the
like
Netherlands.
lucid is it
Very lucid, very lucid.
Wow, I haven't had one of those in a while.
Yeah, all my nightmares are always apocalyptic and very lucid as well. They typically involve either a nuclear war or some sort of meteor.
I've told you about my reoccurring alligator dream as a child, right?
No.
I'm in my backyard, and we had a privacy fence, sizable backyard, and for some reason I'm facing the corner of the privacy fence in the very back corner of the yard. And I turn around in the dream, and the entire yard is infested with alligators. Probably the ones I saw over at the Montgomery Zoo when I was young.
Mm-hmm.
And I proceed to duck and dodge and dip down and dodge again and like get past this gauntlet of alligators. And right as I get to the back door to the home, to safety, I turn around and chomp, and I wake up. I had that dream many times, where even at 36, I remember it pretty vividly.
I think everyone has those dreams, like the reoccurring dreams when they were kids. But alligators are a perfectly fine fear dream.
Primordial fear right there, yeah. Like, that's a beast from the depths below, the unknown.
Have you ever heard Joe Rogan talk about alligators? Mm-mm. How, like, he legitimately, he's like, I don't like them. I want them to die. And then he starts pulling out. He's like, I only buy alligator wallets. And he pulls out an alligator wallet. I only wear alligator belts. And he shows the belt. He's like, I'm trying to contribute to their destruction as fast as possible.
Oh, and then I had one, and it only happened. The good ones only happened like once. I had one when I was in college at Auburn. And it was like the most beautiful symphony I have ever heard. But it was not just the music. It was like the music and all the notes and harmonies and things in tension with one another were these spirits of light in different colors, and they crescendoed up and congregated until it was this bright white light, and I woke up, and not like in a sudden, I woke up like, and I've never had it happen again. What? Come on. Come on.
You sound like one of those ayahuasca bros.
No, but it was real, and it wasn't drugs or anything. Like, it was just... dreams are crazy stuff.
Wouldn't it be funny with RFK pushing like for the advancement or at least the legalization, decriminalization of psychedelics, if we saw like Donald Trump like going on an ayahuasca retreat?
Well, America, I became one with the goddess, and she wrapped her warm body. She's a snake, actually. You shouldn't be afraid of them.
See, that's the stuff where, by the way, the ayahuasca trip stuff, I don't know. You're dealing with spirits that you don't understand.
I agree. Yeah, like even when I was a filthy pagan, I did the whole DMT thing. I never got there. Like they talk about getting there, breaking through. I never did. I did like twice. But I'm really glad that I didn't, because when I'm hearing all of the tales and especially the lingering effects of some of that, there are some things I think that could be beneficial for the treatments of like depression and things, especially in I think the evidence with psilocybin is pretty clear, and it could be infinitely more beneficial than the antidepressants that everyone's overprescribed.
Yes.
But there are certain things where it's like that might be a step too far, where you're actually communicating with forces that you don't understand and you shouldn't be fiddling with.
And so as soon as we get into like talking about dreams and the subconscious and the maybe even how psychedelics, and look at all these calls.
Oh yeah.
It's interesting how that happens. Papa B, you ever had an experience like that?
Tell us about your drug use, Papa B.
I don't. I'm not telling y'all anything. I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to talk, especially on Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. Be mine.
I'm telling you what. Now, Joey, this is one day where you can be thankful to be single.
Well, I'm wearing lavender or purple today in solidarity.
It is a beautiful colored sweatshirt that he has on.
Oh, thank you.
So, I think it was Freud that said dreams are the royal road to the subconscious or something like that. So I got to ask you a question. In this alligator dream, Joe, were you married at the same time?
No, I was still a child.
No. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, had you been married, the alligator dream would have made more sense.
The alligator was her.
Yeah. No, it's always, you got to be careful. You got to dodge bullets. You got to be careful how you talk about all that kind of stuff.
Oh, many manifestations of her. You better watch out.
Okay, well, anyway, so, this is so beautiful. I'm loving it. Every day is Christmas morning. You get up and see what Doge has come up with next.
Oh, yes.
And watch these folks scream like weeping and gnashing of teeth. Let them tears flow, but I'm just loving it. So, did I hear right? Now, look, this is the thing. We know they've been stealing. They know they've been stealing.
Yes.
They know that we know they've been stealing.
Right.
But up until now, they haven't really been concerned about it. It's like, what are you going to do about it? And now it's like, no. We can't burn the documents fast enough. The shredding machine's smoking and overheating. I don't think they can cover their tracks, I'll be honest with you, because the internet is forever, as they say.
Oh, yeah. And again, because of this digital services agency that Doge took over, they have back-end access pretty quickly to most systems. I'm sure there's some stuff compartmentalized, but to a lot of these systems, they were able to get into the root. And the new Doge.gov that's up, it's detailed and fantastic to look through.
Yes. Oh, I love it. So so now they're gonna get the records. Now they're gonna go through it, figure out where the waste is. Then they're gonna find out, I presume, where all the money went, who it went to, and how they, got to them. Because somebody is making a government salary of $150,000 a year, and winds up coming out with, I don't know, 10, 12 million or more.
Yeah.
It just ain't right, adding up quite right. So something's going on, and we need to know about it. But I think Maxine, speaking of Freud, I think she had a Freudian slip the other day. I don't know if you had heard about this, but I just kind of briefly heard it on Greg's show. And that is, what I heard was, she said, we don't know what they have on us. And I'm like, oh boy, did you sell? You said it all right there, Maxine. We don't know what they have on us. If that's what she said, that was a definite Freudian slip right there. I don't know if you can find it. If I was hearing things, or maybe if you have a way to find it and replay it, that would be great. I would also say Chad had a great idea. One of the callers that calls in from time to time. He said Trump should have it like a game show every day, like a 5 o'clock game show every week, the Doge show or something like that goes through all of the things that they found, who's in trouble, who's getting convicted. I mean, man, maybe we could make it like Thunderdome, have, the wheel break a deal, spin the wheel.
I really want to know about those drugs now. No, I think it's a great idea. It's like,
And Elon, who are we awarding the Doge championship to this week? Big Balls? Big Balls, come on up.
And
I think they need to do the Doge Award, and then they need to do like what the Breakfast Club does and do like the Donkey of the Day of like the worst offender and present that.
Yeah, you can do the Golden Shibu. Yeah. And like, yeah, that'd be good.
Some anime reference, I'm sure that Elon can come up with.
Well, I mean, seriously, don't you think that would be like, Chad was right, that would be like the most watched TV show in the world.
No, and I think they're already putting on a TV show. Like I'm saying, it's every department head is Trump doing these pressers every day from the Oval. It's quite a show they are putting on. Now, time will tell. We're a year later from here. Things better be improved, especially with the economy. Carville was right about that all those years ago. It's the economy, stupid, and that will remain to be seen. Well, I appreciate it, Papa.
Right, thanks for letting me talk.
See you, buddy.
Let's go to line 3. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, guys. How are you?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. The 3 departments I can't wait for Doge to go after is A, the DOD, B, IRS, and C, I think that welfare needs a thorough doging.
Hey, freaking men.
I would guesstimate minimum between 15 and 25% of all welfare is fraud.
Well, and this is what they're already looking at with the entitlements.
Yeah.
And so the idea isn't to like say, you're not a deserving poor person. That's not the idea at all. The idea is like, you're not even poor.
Yeah.
You live in Singapore. Like, what, like, why are we giving money to fraudsters in Singapore?
And same with Medicaid too. Like there are people. Again, I mean, you're talking to an anarchist here, so understand where I'm coming from there. But if we're going to spend money on medical care for people that are low income, it's probably a good idea to make sure that they're actually low income. So I think Medicaid, because then you have more money to give to actual poor people. But so again, it shouldn't exist. But I know personally, dude, I'm trying to go on a tangent here, but working in blue collar jobs, working with women, working with men, just regular average day, low income people. And I've heard how they game the system. People that intentionally don't get married or intentionally don't report X, Y, or Z so they can keep getting their EBT cards or whatever. There's so much fraud in that system. You are so right.
Yeah, and and this happened like 30 years ago. I was stopped at a little mom and pop grocery store during the day to get something to drink. It was down off of Lower Wetumpka Road, just outside of downtown in Montgomery. And there were 4 black girls standing in front of me. And they were all probably early to mid-20s. And they're standing there openly bragging to each other about the scams they're running on welfare and getting extra money and stuff like that. And the woman behind the counter, she was an elderly white woman, her and I are looking at each other. When they walked out the door, she grabbed the phone book and called the welfare department for the state of Alabama. And I'm sitting there just waiting for this response, and she's trying to explain. And she knew the girls because they lived there in the neighborhood. And she's telling, this person on the phone, these 4 girls are running this kind of scam, and you need to know about it. And she's in turn, and she finally goes, well, I'm just trying to help. And she hangs up the phone, and I said, what'd she say? She told me to mind my own business.
Wow.
Remember those government employees we were talking about last week, Joey? That's it.
That's it. And there needs to be a Doge in Alabama for stuff like this. Because you know that it's going on. And I wish the Republicans would get off their butts and do something constructive like that for the state of Alabama. Lord knows how many billions of dollars they would save the taxpayers.
Yeah. I mean, it is my job to look through these budgets. I do. I observe our state's budgets for a living, and I can tell you that there is an ungodly amount of money going to this institution, this agency, whatever. It 100% this to a smaller scale. What is happening in the federal government is happening in Alabama, but the difference is you have a leader in Donald Trump who is welcoming someone in to engage in the digging out and the creating that sort of transparency. You do not have that in the state, in our executive leadership, and you certainly don't have it in our legislative leadership. So until you, like I said, you have leaderships willing to embrace that type of auditing, it's just not going to happen. You can't force them to do it. What are you going to do? Like, if they say no,
Sure.
what do you do?
Yeah. And, I am sure that there has to be some type of AI program that you could simply run through every department with that would point out all of the waste, fraud, and abuse in any single department in this state.
Well, and then you've got stuff where it's like even the authorization is expired. Like Congress finds $516 billion of federal spending that went to expired programs that no longer have congressional authorization.
Yeah.
And there's the bigger the money, the bigger the pot of the money, the bigger the rake, and the harder to find the rakes. Well, unless you have this team of Doge, these young guys that know how to actually sift through all this stuff. So it's kind of beautiful.
And have the initiative to do it.
Exactly.
That's the thing. So,
I
and
appreciate
you were
it.
talking about, real quick, you were talking about with Obamacare and when they started that website, when they had that disaster and it ended up costing over $1 billion to get it up and running properly. I had a friend of mine who's been an IT consultant for over 40 years. And I remember when we were talking about that, when it was happening, he said, if I had 12 competent IT people working under me, he said, we could have fixed it in 72 hours for $50,000.
No, and I think that's eventually what did happen after spending that $1 billion that still didn't work. Yeah. And so some actual Silicon Valley folks had to go in there and set something up. And that is now the birth of this, what Musk and Doge are doing. It's remarkable. Well, I appreciate it, David.
So, take care.
272-9228. This part of the program brought to you by River Region Contracting. And there at River Region Contracting, Todd Clark and his team are ready to help you with that roof of yours. Whether it's an asphalt, shingled, or metal roof, they can help you out there. And you should get it inspected every few years. Why not do it every year with these Alabama, how many seasons do we have now?
This winter has been like 2 seasons
Goodness
already.
gracious, and the hardcore storms rolling through. You might be a little nervous about your roof. Well, here's the great news. When you call River Region Contracting up at 356-8635, their inspections are always free. And so are their estimates. If they do find an issue, they'll write up that estimate for free. It's accurate. They show up on time and get the job done well. And if you're worried about the insurance claims process, well, they're insurance specialists there at River Region Contracting, so they can walk you through that claims process and make it an easy and swift experience. So again, call up Todd Clark and his team at 356-8635. That's 356-8635. And be sure to tell them that Joey, that fellow on the radio, sent you. Let's go to line 4. You're on there. Who's this?
Soldier Boy.
What's up?
2 things I brought up. You were talking about dreams and your alligators, right? I got one better than that.
All right.
I don't know if you're maybe too young. You don't remember this movie, Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, man, I'm in this movie, and I'm trying to play cool, walking by the ones, because they'll point at you and scream at you that you're not one of them, right?
Right.
So the whole concept is, as soon as you fall asleep, magically a pod turns next to you, and it's like an egg, and then the next thing you know, you got another version of a Soldier Boy, right?
Right.
Oh, you should see me in the movie, man. I hit every convenience store for Red Bull, man. And I am so freaking wired. It's pathetic. I said, can't sleep. I'm busting into these convenience stores, just chugging Red Bull. Don't even care what flavor and size. That's pretty.
Wait, and this was a dream you had?
Yeah.
I thought it was just describing the movie.
Yeah, I thought this was just life.
Yeah.
Well, they're not hitting the
70s
Red
were
Bull
crazy,
like me. It's funny. I was hitting the Red Bull.
No, that's awesome.
And here's the other one you were talking about, too. I went into Walmart, buy some groceries, got me some hamburger patties, going to grill, got me some, what do you call that, Sam's Cola? You know, not check, but Sam's Cola. Got this and some generic stuff, you know, within my budget. Well, this girl in front of me got her shorts off half past her crack of her rear end and got a some kind of thing over her wig or something. And she's got this EBT card, okay? You couldn't see what she had T-bones, ribeyes were squilling across. I'm like, and my girlfriend's like, Soldier Boy, be nice, don't say anything. Because she knows I'm ready to bust. That's like, wait a minute. And I looked at that lady in front of me, right? I said, those are my steaks. She says, excuse me, my tax money paid for those.
And this, by the way, this actually happened. This is not a dream.
No, it happened. I didn't get. And my girlfriend had to hold me back. Because how is it I can bust my butt and work, okay? First
Allegedly.
24 years in the military, and then work full-time in another job. And I'm having Chuck Wrangler burgers, okay? And this lady's having ribeye and strips in New York, you know, on my money. I mean, and here's the sad thing about it is, okay, you can't buy alcohol on an EBT card, okay? But she had a wad of hundreds, a stack of at least $200, $300, $100 bills.
Yep.
And which is about $2,000, and she's paying for 2 carts full of beer.
Well, money's fungible, so you get the EBT, and it stretches that cash a long way. I appreciate it, Soldier Boy. I got to run, man.
All right.
And line 5, you've been patient. What's up? Who's this?
Check one. Am I on there?
Yes.
Oh, got it. Joey, hey, brother. This is Sam calling from Pike County.
Hey, Sam.
A couple of things real quick. I'll just be brief as I can be. DHR, you know, I received some assistance, and every 6 months they check me, cut me no slack. So it's all this about the money and whatnot and stuff. The U.S. It rubs me raw a bit. But I want to tell you about my dream, Joey.
Okay.
I dreamed that Donald Trump signed my cell phone. He had that stack of executive orders, and I just set my phone on top, and he just tagged it. And it's wonderful. Oh, man, that's why I'm looking for the app. Where is the Donald Trump signature app? I just want it right across my phone, right across the screen each and every day.
So you dreamed that Trump signed your cell phone.
That's right. It's a manly dream. It's a dream of aggression. Cell phone aggression. All right, let's stop that. Maxine Waters. Her clip, I've seen it edited down to just a minute. So anybody wants to see Maxine, what had they got on us? It's on YouTube, easy to find.
Somebody sent it to me. I'll have to pull that up.
Yes, sir. Join the show as always, gentlemen.
Appreciate it. Well, you know that scene in The Graduate where he walks in and Mrs. Robinson's at the bar with her leg up in a sultry way? You remember that movie?
Is that the one with Rain Man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
Dust Hoffman's like, Mrs. Robinson, you're trying to seduce
Oh,
me.
yes. Yeah. Okay. I was just making sure.
Yeah, I had a dream. But Mrs. Robinson was, Robinson was, I think, her maiden name.
Ah.
No, the dream was, Mrs. Obama, are you trying to seduce me? And then I wake up. I'll let y'all figure out what's going on in my subconscious after that. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Ukrainian President Zelensky says he will only agree to meet in person with Russian President Putin after a common plan is negotiated with President Trump. Zelensky believes the president is the key to ending the Russia-Ukraine conflict. A drone armed with a warhead hit a protective outer shell of Ukraine's Chernobyl nuclear plant. Friday's strike punched a hole in the shell and briefly started a fire, Kyiv blaming Russia. Philadelphia Eagle fans perched in trees and atop ladders to get a glimpse of their Super Bowl champion Eagles. Screams and cheers broke out when MVP quarterback Jalen Hurts hoisted the Vince Lombardi Trophy at the start of the team's victory parade. The Dow losing 105 points. The NASDAQ is up 35. This is SRN News.
Happy birthday to us. 2 surprises for you. 2 surprises from NordVPN. 2 surprises for you.
Celebrate twice as much with NordVPN. We have a special birthday deal. Get 72% off and a coupon for up to 1 year free. NordVPN is rated as excellent on PC Mag.
Visit NordVPN.com and discover one of the most advanced VPNs in the world. What are the benefits? Secure up to 10 devices with a single account. Receive alerts if your email address leaks to the dark web. Reduce the risk of phishing, scams, and malware with NordVPN's Threat Protection Pro tool. Encrypt your online traffic and browse with more peace of mind. Get the special birthday deal at NordVPN.com. Additional terms apply. NordVPN. Cybersecurity built for every day.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by the Harriet 2.
The Harriet 2 Riverboat has the perfect way to start your weekend each Friday with the Spring Dinner Cruise. Enjoy live entertainment, dine on a delicious family-friendly dinner with your favorite beverage from the Cash Bar. Boarding starts at 6:30 and the cruise at 7. Book your cruise today at funinmontgomery.com.
We're enjoying a brief break in between storm systems before that next significant threat over the weekend. On this Valentine's Day, sunshine, breezy, cool, high temperature up to about 63. Mostly cloudy, maybe an isolated shower tonight. Overnight low temperature down to about 50. Saturday's high up to about 75. Risk of showers and thunderstorms breaking out Saturday afternoon. But then Saturday night and especially through the overnight hours, a rather significant severe weather threat, including the threat of tornadoes. We're watching this storm system carefully. Overnight low 58. Could be a leftover shower early in the day on Sunday. Then breezy and colder. We'll be in the upper 20s on Sunday night and barely up to about 51 by Monday. That's President's Day. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, these are today's top stories. Governor Kay Ivey has signed the first piece of legislation into law for 2025. Just 6 days into the legislative session, Governor Kay Ivey put pen to paper Thursday and signed the What is a Woman bill that establishes definitions for sex-based terms under state law. The bill defines male and female based on reproductive organs that are present at birth. Otagoville School will officially shut down at the end of the school year. The Otago County School Board voted unanimously to close the school, which recently scored a 59 on its state report card. The decision was made in response to declining student enrollment, poor academic performance, and the district's continued budget constraints. The Iron Bowl of basketball takes place tomorrow at Coleman Coliseum. Number 1 Auburn travels to Tuscaloosa for a historic showdown with number 2 Alabama. The Tide and Tigers' intense rivalry will make Southeastern Conference history as the first number 1 versus 2 matchup ever in SEC basketball. Tip-off is set for 3 p.m. Saturday. From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, I'm Sky Mosley.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
Before you buy new floors at a discount store and get them installed by the cousin of a friend who does this kind of thing, consider the better option. Prattville Carpet carries the most reputable brands for selection, style, and quality you can trust. And with their non-transferable lifetime installation warranty, you'll never have to worry about hardwood warping or carpet buckling. Your floors will stay as beautiful as the day they installed them.
Hi, I'm Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet. If you're looking for carpet, hardwood, laminate, vinyl plank, or ceramic tile, call us today for your free measurement. Prattville Carpet, we're more than just carpet.
What's your biggest investment? More than likely, it's your home. So treat it that way when you hire a painting contractor. With PBS Painting, there are no gimmicks, no $99 specials. Just quality painting and someone who treats your home with the same respect that you do. At PBS Painting, we have been painting for years and look forward to many more years to come. With PBS Painting, the job gets prepped properly, whether it's cleaning, scraping, or priming. We always use quality products, which is a must for a quality paint job. So if you're looking for a painter that doesn't need upfront money and is on the job at all times, then please give me a call. Scott Bowers and PBS Painting, 294-5122. That's PBS Painting, 294-5122. Look at some of our work on Facebook at PBS Painting Montgomery.
Folks, let's go right to the phones and talk to Austin Barenko with Invista Advisors. Hey, Austin, how you doing today, sir?
Hey, Joey. Having a great day. How are you and Craig?
Oh, we're surviving, and well, honestly, the news is making me very happy, so that makes doing this job pretty easy. How is it in your world? Because if I read media headlines, it's chaos, it's nuts. I don't know. It's tough for me to read what's actually maybe going on with, say, financial markets these days.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts. You never really know what to focus on, and we try not to take our eye off the ball, primarily focused on the equity markets right now, which seem to be cruising up and up and up. I did see a headline today. Some of my friends are commenting about it, that I guess the IRS is now under the microscope of Doge, so that's exciting for a lot of people who are hoping that the IRS would get looked at in the same way that the IRS has looked at many of us for years, right? We feel like we're always under a microscope, and it's about time the microscope is turned the other way. I do think there is a little bit of inefficiency in the Internal Revenue Service, and so to hash some of that out, I think can only benefit the taxpayers. And but yeah, as far as the markets go, Joey, everything is looking good right now. Is it sustainable? That's the question we've been scratching our heads and asking for almost 2 years now. We tend to believe there will be volatility, but for now, we're happy to, take gains where we can and try to stay optimistic, but position ourselves to where we have a large cash position that's earning interest, and if an opportunity comes to buy, we'll be prepared, and then have a portion of our allocation that is participating in these gains that the equity market is seeing. So it's a unique time, and it always feels like we're constantly hitting new highs, which we have been, and that's when you want to be cautious as an investor. And so, we are being cautious right now, but optimistically so.
Well, and whether it is looking at, say, financial markets and say, stocks and people's investment portfolio, or they really want that holistic approach y'all offer, doesn't it just begin with a conversation at 387-0094? And again, this is not just like investments. You guys there at Invista take all of the above approach in helping somebody out planning their future, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, today I'm actually down in Santa Rosa, Florida, a little retirement community down here. We did have a client pass away, and I'm helping his wife transfer assets over and settle an estate. So it's not just the investment side. We actually don't lead with investments. Investments are a necessary component of what we do, but helping real people in the real world manage their assets, take care of their families, prepare for the eventuality that we all will die, and how to move that money around and honor your wishes when you're gone. That's something that I'm doing down here today, and we do a lot of this. So, if you don't have a plan, and if you're someone who is great with finances, fantastic, but is your spouse and are your children? And if they're not, involve us, and we're happy to help bring them up to speed and make sure that when you're not here to handle your family finances, that we are. So, yeah, you got the phone number right, 387-0094. We'd love to hear from any listeners that need help, and we're always happy to help.
And folks, when you call them up at 387-0094, be sure to say, hey, I heard Austin Baranco on with Joey Clark and really want to begin the conversation here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joey.
Thank you, Austin. Again, folks, that's Austin Baranco with Invista Advisors.
The opinions voiced in this material are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. All performance referenced is historical and is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. The opinions expressed in this material do not necessarily reflect the views of LPL Financial. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice is offered through Invista Advisors, registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Can you get a cough, please? Leave me alone.
This is how you conduct yourself in a democracy? What the hell are we doing here?
We are behaving the way a superpower ought to behave.
Well, our behavior has produced some crappy results.
This is the Trump country. We live in the southeast. We drink sweet tea. We don't drink socialist Kool-Aid.
Hold
under your butt.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. If you want to get in on the conversation, number as always is 334-272-9228. In a second, I want to get into the J.D. Vance speech in front of the Munich Security Council. Thought it was just a barn burner of a speech, and it's refreshing to see an American leader say to, yes, friends and allies that the way we have been operating in this friendship and this alliance, that we do have many shared values, well, some things need to change, especially on your end. And it was great the way Vance delivers it, I think, is in a diplomatic way, but still very forceful indeed. Looking forward to getting into that. As you just heard Austin Marenko say, Doge is now burrowing in and auditing the IRS, which is just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. If you didn't know, Pope Francis admitted to the hospital in Rome. Seems to be a common thing with popes. I guess when we pick old men to run the Roman Catholic Church, yeah, that's always going to be kind of around. Trump, of course, also very happy to see RFK Jr. seated, Tulsi Gabbard seated. I think what we're witnessing with this new administration is something that hasn't been done before. And for that, I just say thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. I like that you're starting to expose this government, this shadow government, this bureaucracy, this oligarchy that has been unaccountable for way too long. It had piss poor, pardon me, results for everyday people in this country. Now, I want to give an example of what I'm talking about. And this is what I mean by, I think, media literacy, knowing how to deliver a message in a very Trumpian way, yet still without it being like you're reading the same old talking points over and over again. This is Lee Zeldin at EPA. And this clip in particular, promoted by Elon Musk, which is the secret sauce here. Musk, no wonder Democrats are going after Musk, because it's not just Doge. It's this massive platform called X that they're very, very worried about. This is the sort of powers USAID and the State Department thought they had to manipulate governments all around the world. Well, those powers they thought they had under lock and key have now been turned against them. And it's beautiful to behold. But here's Lee Zeldin talking about the gold bars thrown off the Titanic at EPA before he actually became director there. Let's listen in together.
Administrator Lee Zeldin, one of my very top priorities at EPA is to be an excellent steward of your hard-earned tax dollars. There will be zero tolerance of any waste and abuse. An extremely disturbing video circulated 2 months ago featuring a Biden EPA political appointee talking about how they were tossing gold bars off the Titanic, rushing to get billions of your tax dollars out the door before Inauguration Day. The gold bars were tax dollars, and tossing them off the Titanic meant the Biden administration knew they were wasting it. Following this revelation, during my meetings with members of Congress, I made a very important commitment to them and to the American people, which I reiterated at my confirmation hearing that if confirmed, I would immediately get a full accounting. Fortunately, my awesome team at EPA has found the gold bars. Shockingly, roughly $20 billion of your tax dollars were parked at an outside financial institution by the Biden EPA. This scheme was the first of its kind in EPA history, and it was purposefully designed to obligate all of the money in a rush job with reduced oversight. Even further, this pot of $20 billion was awarded to just 8 entities that were then responsible for doling out your money to NGOs and others at their discretion with far less transparency. Just under $7 billion was sent to one entity called the Climate United Fund. I'm sure you and I now have some of the same questions.
Mm-hmm.
How do these organizations decide how to allocate funding? How much money have they given out so far and to whom? Are there any former Biden EPA staffers who are now working at these entities? Let me make one thing abundantly clear. At this point, there is zero reason to suspect any wrongdoing by the bank. Here's my position as EPA administrator. The financial agent agreement with the bank needs to be instantly terminated, and the bank must immediately return all of the gold bars that the Biden administration tossed off the Titanic. EPA needs to reassume responsibility for all of these funds. We will review every penny that has gone out the door. I will be referring this matter to the Inspector General's office, and will work with the Justice Department as well. The days of irresponsibly shoveling boatloads of cash to far-left activist groups in the name of environmental justice and climate equity are over. The American public deserves a more transparent and accountable government than what transpired these past 4 years. We take our obligations under the law as seriously as it gets. I've directed my team to find your gold bars, and they found them. Now we will get them back inside of control of government as we pursue next steps. As President Trump has vowed, we are going to usher in a new golden age of American success for the citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed.
Again, that's Lee Zeldin, the new director of the EPA, and that is incredible. Craig Munger joining us again. I think you missed the punchline, Craig, but $20 billion of tax money was sent out the door as the Biden team is leaving as well. Of course, that $20 billion were parked at an outside financial institution by the Biden EPA. First of its kind in the EPA's history, and purposely designed to obligate all of the money in a rush job with reduced oversight. This pot of $20 billion was awarded to just 8 entities that were then responsible for doling out your money to NGOs and others at their discretion with less transparency. Just $7 billion was sent to one entity called the Climate United Fund. This just comes across to me as not like, oh, we're going to fight climate change. It's more, I'm paying off all our friends. We're just getting a little bit more revenue to pay off. Here's all the spoils, boys, as we get kicked out of the White House. Incredible.
Kind of like what they did to Ukraine with the funding that they sent over there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The pardons, just the same thing. It's like, we're going streaking.
The whole Ukraine thing, and you can see that the Ukrainians are very salty over Pete Hegseth and Trump himself saying, look, you're not taking back all that land. Like, it's just not going to happen. And Trump also saying, I want to secure our money by giving, we want some mineral rights. You know, we've given you all this money. And so you can see the Ukrainians are, pissed off, to put it mildly. But wasn't this always the way it was going to be? And that's the thing. There's so many folks at the beginning of this war who said, what will happen is Ukraine will be wrecked. A lot of people will die. Ukraine won't be stronger for it. The West won't be stronger for it. And Russia will be in a better position. Kind of where we are. Now, if you listen to folks who work in the, say, defense industries at all and stuff, or anybody who's kind of hawkish, and they're all like, no, Russia's been really depleted and, really hurt and all this stuff. And I just, at the end of the day, I don't know what to believe. I think the way I put it on the first anniversary of the Russia-Ukraine war, so this would have been March of 2023, I wrote up, I've never not known my country at war, and I know war is always defended by a bodyguard of lies. It's an old Churchill saying, and it's true. So when I look at the number of casualties and deaths, when I look at all the reports about who's winning in what area on the battlefront, I look about what's the military capability of both sides. I'm like, I don't know what's true at the end of the day, and that's fine. Most Americans, most everyday people won't know what's true. But there's a fascinating thing with World War II, Hitler and the Nazis, Japan, Imperial Japan, Mussolini as well, throwing the whole Axis powers. They thought they could win. They were living in a romantic fantasy land. Turned out the United States could churn out, manufacture things that made winning that war almost impossible, especially with the U.S. in it. But they were kind of living in their romantic fantasy land. We can do anything. And so the question I asked on the first anniversary of this Ukraine-Russia war is, who's living in romantic fantasy land? What will the effective truth actually be at the end of the day? Is the United States or Russia living in fantasy land? And I think, well, it's more the United States that's being exposed here. For all our money, for our capabilities, it's not a pretty sight. And hopefully we'll actually get peace out of all of this. Now, sticking on the foreign policy side of all this, I'm going to JD Vance because this just made me so happy. We won't just play the whole thing without cutting in. We'll probably pause it here or there and just kind of remark on what Vance is actually saying. This was earlier today. Like DW News is a German outlet, English-speaking German outlet, and they were like, I've never heard anything like this. This is crazy. Like, the Europeans, I think, were gobsmacked by it, by how forceful it was. Now, there have been excerpts that were leaked. They're like, well, we're expecting some of this, but they're a bit gobsmacked by, wait, he really went full throttle on us. So here is Vice President J.D. Vance in Munich, Germany. Let's listen in.
Well, thank you, and thanks to all the gathered delegates and luminaries and media professionals, and thanks especially to the hosts of the Munich Security Conference for being able to put on such an incredible event. We're, of course, thrilled to be here. We're happy to be here. And, one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is, of course, our shared values. And, it's great to be back in Germany. As you heard earlier, I was here last year as United States Senator. I saw Foreign Secretary David Lammy joked that both of us last year had different jobs than we have now. But now it's time for all of our countries, for all of us who have been fortunate enough to be given political power by our respective peoples, to use it wisely to improve their lives. And I want to say that, I was fortunate in my time here to spend some time outside the walls of this conference over the last 24 hours. And I've been so impressed by the hospitality of the people, even of course, as they're reeling from yesterday's horrendous attack. And the first time I was ever in Munich was with my wife, actually, who's here with me today, on a personal trip. And I've always loved the city of Munich, and I've always loved its people. And I just want to say that we're very moved, and our thoughts and prayers are with Munich and everybody affected by the evil inflicted on this beautiful community. We're thinking about you, we're praying for you, and we will certainly be rooting for you in the days and weeks to come. Now, I hope that's not the last bit of applause that I get, but
it was. So that's about a minute and a half in. Very well delivered. Yeah. That is the last applause he gets.
That is what is referred to in magic as the pledge.
Let's keep going here.
We gather at this conference, of course, to discuss security. And normally, we mean threats to our external security. I see many great military leaders gathered here today. But while the Trump administration is very concerned with European security and believes that we can come to a reasonable settlement between Russia and Ukraine, and we also believe that it's important in the coming years for Europe to step up in a big way to provide for its own defense, the threat that I worry the most about vis-a-vis Europe is not Russia, it's not China, it's not any other external actor. And what I worry about is the threat from within, the retreat of Europe from some of its most fundamental values, values shared with the United States of America. Now, I was struck that a former European commissioner went on television recently and sounded delighted that the Romanian government had just annulled an entire election. He warned that if things don't go to plan, the very same thing could happen in Germany too. Now, these cavalier statements are shocking to American ears. For years, we've been told that everything we fund and support is in the name of our shared democratic values. Everything from our Ukraine policy to digital censorship is billed as a defense of democracy. But when we see European courts canceling elections and senior officials threatening to cancel others, we ought to ask whether we're holding ourselves to an appropriately high standard. And I say ourselves because I fundamentally believe that we are on the same team. We must do more than talk about democratic values, we must live them. Now, within living memory of many of you in this room, the Cold War positioned defenders of democracy against much more tyrannical forces on this continent. And consider the side in that fight that censored dissidents, that closed churches, that canceled elections. Were they the good guys? Certainly not. And thank God they lost the Cold War. They lost because they neither valued nor respected all of the extraordinary blessings of liberty. The freedom to surprise, to make mistakes, to invent, to build. As it turns out, you can't mandate innovation or creativity, just as you can't force people what to think, what to feel, or what to believe. And we believe those things are certainly connected.
I love he's making that point. I love that he's making that point.
Oh, yeah.
That in many ways, like the reasons that, going back to the World War II example, that Nazi Germany failed, that Imperial Japan failed, and in many ways the Soviet Union fails to win the Cold Wars, they didn't have these values that give you that dynamic prosperity and innovation, not just in terms of creating wealth in a capitalist economy, but also dynamic leadership, that the people can rise up and take back their government and actually run their government again. Whereas these other systems are very closed systems. I mean, and by the way, you can just watching this from afar, here in Montgomery, Alabama, you can you not feel the tension in that room?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Europeans are typically not usually as rambunctious as American crowds, especially politically.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that you could hear a pin drop in that room.
Yeah, my Uncle Dave says it's the sphincter factor. You could back up to a brick wall and suck out a brick at this moment. And that's the feeling, I think, especially with a lot of these leaders in Europe. Damn.
I prefer the expression, you could stick a lump of coal up their butts and pull out a diamond.
There you go.
Yeah.
Here, let's keep going.
And unfortunately, when I look at Europe today, it's sometimes not so clear what happened to some of the Cold War's winners. I look to Brussels, where EU commissars warn citizens that they intend to shut down social media during times of civil unrest the moment they spot what they've judged to be, quote, hateful content. Or to this very country, where police have carried out raids against citizens suspected of posting anti-feminist comments online as part of, quote, combating misogyny on the internet, a day of action. I look to Sweden, where 2 weeks ago the government convicted a Christian activist for participating in Koran burnings that resulted in his friend's murder. And as the judge in his case chillingly noted, Sweden's laws to supposedly protect free expression do not, in fact, grant, and I'm quoting, a free pass to do or say anything without risking offending the group that holds that belief. And perhaps most concerningly, I look to our very dear friends, the United Kingdom, where the backslide away from conscience rights has placed the basic liberties of religious Britons in particular in the crosshairs. A little over 2 years ago, the British government charged Adam Smith Connor, a 51-year-old physiotherapist and an Army veteran, with the heinous crime of standing 50 meters from an abortion clinic and silently praying for 3 minutes. Not obstructing anyone, not interacting with anyone, just silently praying on his own. And after British law enforcement spotted him and demanded to know what he was praying for, Adam replied simply, it was on behalf of the unborn son he and his former girlfriend had aborted years before. Now, the officers were not moved. Adam was found guilty of breaking the government's new buffer zones law, which criminalizes silent prayer and other actions that could influence a person's decision within 200 meters of an abortion facility. He was sentenced to pay thousands of pounds in legal costs to the prosecution. Now, I wish I could say that this was a fluke, a one-off crazy example of a badly written law being enacted against a single person. But no, this last October, just a few months ago, the Scottish government began distributing letters to citizens whose houses lay within so-called safe access zones, warning them that even private prayer within their own homes may amount to breaking the law.
What?
Naturally, the government urged readers to report any fellow citizens suspected guilty of thought crime. In Britain and across Europe, free speech, I fear, is in retreat.
No, that's seriously East Germany stuff. That's Stasi stuff.
Yeah, that's rough.
And the way that you do this in any authoritarian regime, they get people to report on one another. We saw kind of some of it during COVID.
Yeah.
Like
the Red Sash gang, you know.
Right. Well, and because you can't really control fully from the top down, what you get is everybody distrusting one another and reporting on one another. And they might even report something just to keep it on the other guy as opposed to somebody reporting them. I didn't know it was that bad. And like, you can't pray quietly, silently in your own home. That's just a blank check to go drag people out of their homes.
As you know, again, having grown up in China, that was a tactic that they rely on citizens turning on one another. That's to crack down on religious people in China, Christians especially. The teachers in the schools, they would have the kids play a game, and it was find the black book. And if you brought in you're supposed to look for your house for a black book, and if you bring it to your teacher, you could get some sort of prize. And very often it would be a Bible, and those people would be arrested. That's when they started printing Bibles with red covers to match Mao's red book. That was everywhere in China. So it's a pretty common tactic for authoritarian regimes.
Well, and I love that J.D. Vance, especially in this venue at the Munich Security Conference, this is the conference in 2007 that Putin said, the game's changing for us. We're serious about don't expand NATO to our borders. Did John McCain and Robert Gates at the time listen? No. Did Europe listen? No. But this is the same conference where, you know, vice presidents, presidents have all spoken. It's all been the same language about the threats abroad. Russia and China and yada, yada, yada. Terrorism, global terrorism threats. But J.D. Vance is making the point and making it well that the issue, yes, are the threats without, but the threats within. And I love this because so often, whether it's here in America, and you know this, you've seen this, Craig, whether it's here in America or in Europe, the corrupt ruling establishment, the corrupt elite, they always, when they think their ass is in trouble, will point and go, look at the big monster across the ocean. Look at the big bad guy. You need us to protect you. And it's to distract from their own rot and distract from the fact that we need protection from you. We do need protection from other bad countries. I don't want China having undue influence, especially in the technology space here in the United States. I don't want Russia having undue influence. I don't want these foreign powers anywhere near me. But I'm also a little tired of y'all, too. So you can't use them as an excuse for your own misbehavior anymore. And he goes on.
And in the interest of comedy, my friends, but also in the interest of truth, I will admit that sometimes the loudest voices for censorship have come not from within Europe, but from within my own country, where the prior administration threatened and bullied social media companies to censor so-called misinformation. Misinformation like, for example, the idea that coronavirus had likely leaked from a laboratory in China. Our own government encouraged private companies to silence people who dared to utter what turned out to be an obvious truth. So I come here today not just with an observation, but with an offer. And just as the Biden administration seemed desperate to silence people for speaking their minds, so the Trump administration will do precisely the opposite, and I hope that we can work together on that. In Washington, there is a new sheriff in town, and under Donald Trump's leadership, we may disagree with your views, but we will fight to defend your right to offer it in the public square, agree or disagree.
Yeah, that wasn't much of an applause.
Now, we're at the point, of course, that the situation has gotten so bad that this December, Romania straight up canceled the results of a presidential election based on the flimsy suspicions of an intelligence agency and enormous pressure from its continental neighbors. Now, As I understand it, the argument was that Russian disinformation had infected the Romanian elections. But I'd ask my European friends to have some perspective. You can believe it's wrong for Russia to buy social media advertisements to influence your elections. We certainly do. You can condemn it on the world stage even. But if your democracy can be destroyed with a few $100,000 of digital advertising from a foreign country, then it wasn't very strong to begin with.
Yeah, just me and like two other guys in the room.
Now, the
That's
good news
awesome, though.
is that I happen to think your democracies are substantially less brittle than many people apparently fear. And I really do believe that allowing our citizens to speak their mind will make them stronger still. Which, of course, brings us back to Munich, where the organizers of this very conference have banned lawmakers representing populist parties on both the left and the right from participating in these conversations. Now, again, we don't have to agree with everything or anything that people say. But when people represent, when political leaders represent an important constituency, it is incumbent upon us to at least participate in dialogue with them. Now, to many of us on the other side of the Atlantic, it looks more and more like old entrenched interests hiding behind ugly Soviet-era words like misinformation and disinformation, who simply don't like the idea that somebody with an alternative viewpoint might express a different opinion or, God forbid, vote a different way or, even worse, win an election. Now, this is a security conference, and I'm sure you all came here prepared to talk about how exactly you intend to increase defense spending over the next few years in line with some new target. And that's great, because as President Trump has made abundantly clear, he believes that our European friends must play a bigger role in the future of this continent. We don't think, you hear this term, burden sharing, but we think it's an important part of being in a shared alliance together that the Europeans step up while America focuses on areas of the world that are in great danger. But let me also ask you, how will you even begin to think through the kinds of budgeting questions if we don't know what it is that we're defending in the first place? I've heard a lot already in my conversations, and I've had many, many great conversations with many people gathered here in this room. I've heard a lot about what you need to defend yourselves from, and of course that's important. But what has seemed a little bit less clear to me, and certainly I think to many of the citizens of Europe, is what exactly it is that you're defending yourselves for. What is the positive vision that animates this shared security compact that we all believe is so important? And I believe deeply that there is no security if you are afraid of the voices, the opinions, and the conscience that guide your very own people. Europe faces many challenges, but the crisis this continent faces right now, the crisis I believe we all face together, is one of our own making. If you're running in fear of your own voters, there is nothing America can do for you. Nor, for that matter, is there anything that you can do for the American people who elected me and elected President Trump. You need democratic mandates to accomplish anything of value in the coming years. Have we learned nothing that thin mandates produce unstable results? But there is so much of value that can be accomplished with the kind of democratic mandate that I think will come from being more responsive to the voices of your citizens. If you're going to enjoy competitive economies, if you're going to enjoy affordable energy and secure supply chains, then you need mandates to govern, because you have to make difficult choices to enjoy all of these things. And of course, we know that very well in America. You cannot win a democratic mandate by censoring your opponents or putting them in jail, whether that's the leader of the opposition, a humble Christian praying in her own home, or a journalist trying to report the news. Nor can you win one by disregarding your basic electorate on questions like who gets to be a part of our shared society. And of all the pressing challenges that the nations represented here face, I believe there is nothing more urgent than mass migration. Today, almost 1 in 5 people living in this country moved here from abroad. That is, of course, an all-time high. It's a similar number, by the way, in the United States, also an all-time high. The number of immigrants who entered the EU from non-EU countries doubled between 2021 and 2022 alone, and of course it's gotten much higher since. And we know this situation, it didn't materialize in a vacuum. It's the result of a series of conscious decisions made by politicians all over the continent and others across the world over the span of a decade. We saw the horrors wrought by these decisions yesterday in this very city. And of course, I can't bring it up again without thinking about the terrible victims who had a beautiful winter day in Munich ruined. Our thoughts and prayers are with them and will remain with them. But why did this happen in the first place? It's a terrible story, but it's one we've heard way too many times in Europe and unfortunately too many times in the United States as well. An asylum seeker, often a young man in his mid-20s, already known to police, rams a car into a crowd and shatters a community. How many times must we suffer these appalling setbacks before we change course and take our shared civilization in a new direction? No voter on this continent went to the ballot box to open the floodgates to millions of unvetted immigrants. But you know what they did vote for? In England, they voted for Brexit, and agree or disagree, they voted for it. And more all over Europe, they're voting for political leaders who promise to put an end to out-of-control migration. Now, I happen to agree with a lot of these concerns, but you don't have to agree with me. I just think that people care about their homes, they care about their dreams, they care about their safety and their capacity to provide for themselves and their children. And they're smart. I think this is one of the most important things I've learned in my brief time in politics. Contrary to what you might hear a couple mountains over in Davos, the citizens of all of our nations don't generally think of themselves as educated animals or as interchangeable cogs of a global economy. And it's hardly surprising that they don't want to be shuffled about or relentlessly ignored by their leaders. And it is the business of democracy to adjudicate these big questions at the ballot box. I believe that dismissing people, dismissing their concerns, or worse yet, shutting down media, shutting down elections, or shutting people out of the political process protects nothing. In fact, it is the most surefire way to destroy democracy. And speaking up and expressing opinions isn't election interference. Even when people express views outside your own country, and even when those people are very influential. And trust me, I say this with all humor, if American democracy can survive 10 years of Greta Thunberg scolding, you guys can survive a few months of Elon Musk.
That was a great line. It was a great line.
Oh, yeah. No, and it's just refreshing. The way it's delivered, the actual message, it's just refreshing. That's why I'm playing this at length. Fantastic.
That man's going places. Like, I honestly anticipate him being the next president of the United States.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Likewise. There are a lot of talented up-and-coming people.
Oh, yeah, big time.
That guy is a rock star right there.
Yeah, some people shine under the spotlight, and some people are turds.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Pence was a turd. This guy's something else. This is a new generation of thoughtful right-wingers that the left is just not ready for.
Oh, they have no idea still what's in them. This part of the program brought to you by Alabama Home Mortgage. In fact, the entire hour brought to you by Alabama Home Mortgage. And there, Kim Williams of Madeline Cannon can help you, whether you're looking to buy a home. All starts with pre-approval. You want to know how much home you can afford. Sellers will take you much more seriously if you're already pre-approved and ready to go. So don't waste your time jumping into the market till you sit down with Kim and Madeline, have a quick conversation, and they can get you on the road to actually closing day. And they will walk with you every step of the way from pre-approval all the way to closing day. They can also help with a great refinance deal. If you're stuck under a mountain of credit card debt with 24% interest rates, 29%, if not higher, if you have equity built up in your home, a refinance deal is a great way to restructure debt and get yourself on a more sound financial footing. So call them up today, 567-4223. Again, it just begins with a conversation at 567-4223. Or you can always apply online, answer the questions there at myalabamahomemortgage.com. mortgagedirect.com. There is a difference in mortgage companies. Let Kim and Madeline prove that to you today. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network, brought to you by Montgomery Paint and Body. From little fender benders to total body repair, MPB will fix it good as new, maybe better. For 4 decades, the Turner family has been getting you back on the road. Call 279-7325.
Rich Thomas Weather.
We're enjoying a brief break in between storm systems before that next significant threat over the weekend. On this Valentine's Day, sunshine, breezy, cool, high temperature up to about 63. Mostly cloudy, maybe an isolated shower tonight. Overnight low temperature down to about 50. Saturday's high up to about 75. Risk of showers and thunderstorms breaking out Saturday afternoon, but then Saturday night and especially through the overnight hours, a rather significant severe weather threat, including the threat of tornadoes. We're watching this storm system carefully. Overnight low 58, could be a leftover shower early in the day on Sunday, then breezy and colder. We'll be in the upper 20s on Sunday night and barely up to about 51 by Monday. That's President's Day. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
What'll it be, Joe?
Coffee and apple pie. Whoa, Madge, what was that?
The lights? Oh, they always dim when the dishwasher turns on.
You should call Crosby Electric.
You think?
Overloaded circuits at your business can be dangerous. The experts at Crosby Electric can upgrade your electrical service to safely handle the load. And they can add receptacles where needed to eliminate overuse of extension cords.
Madge, I'd like to pay you. The problem is it's so dark in here I can't read my bill.
No, the problem is you're cheap.
Well, that's a problem too.
Effective, attractive lighting is essential for any business. Crosby Electric can help with a new lighting scheme that will give your business a fresh, exciting look. And they can recommend outdoor lighting for greater safety and security.
That'll be $4.50 for the coffee and pie, Joe.
Don't I get anything for recommending Crosby Electric?
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Don't put off essential electrical upgrades for your business. Call 272-2085 or visit crosbyelectric.com.
Are you tired of the mainstream media's biased reporting? Do you want to stay informed on the news that really matters to you? Look no further than 1819 News. At 1819 News, we bring you the latest in Alabama news, politics, sports, culture, and more. We've assembled a team of journalists with Alabama values dedicated to the truth and the truth alone. Visit us at 1819news.com today. That's 1819news.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Honest News, Alabama Values.
Hi, this is Carl Schmidt, naturopath and owner of the Herb Shop. Listen every Saturday to Winning Wellness and learn from experts in different fields of science and technology how nutritional supplements can help you.
Listen to Winning Wellness every Saturday at 10 a.m.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
Is your business feeling the heat of cyber attacks? Tired of worrying about ransomware, data breaches, downtime, and employee mistakes? GTI Managed IT Solutions has been your trusted partner since 1999, safeguarding and supporting businesses like yours from the ever-evolving threats in the digital world. GTI, your peace of mind is guaranteed. Call us today at 819-4650 or visit gtinow.com.
This is your roving reporter, and today I am talking with an elk. Hey man, Mr. Elk, I was just wondering, what do elk do to take care of their money? Well, like most smart folks, we call David Ernest. You mean Alabama's most favorite asset preservationist? That's him, man. We call him up at 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. I see. Yes, he is our preferred money man. The money man with the money plan. You've been paying attention. Well, could you give us those numbers one more time? 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. And I just want to try to give you a heads up, man. Oh, what's that? I'm not an elk. Not an elk, huh? Well, then, pray tell, what are you? Knights of Columbus. I am not even going to make a comment. Well, the baby liked it. The River Region's News Talk Station. News Talk 93.1. WACV. News Talk 93.1.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to the program. Let's go right to the phones and talk to Michael Cohen from Cohen's Electronics and Appliances. Hey, Michael, how you doing today?
Hey, Joey, how are you?
I'm all right. I'm enjoying this news cycle. I've been enjoying this past few weeks, but what's the score there today at Cohen?
28-7.
Ooh,
it's been a good day. Michael Jackson had a bunch of speakers to install for a customer today. It was an Atmos system with some big Paradigm in-walls and ceiling speakers. And just got back a little while ago, told me how great it sounded. It's hooked up with an Anthem amplifier, Sony projector, and screen. Somebody's little kid is going to be wreaking havoc with The Lion King and all the other little movies.
Oh, Circle of Life, full blast. I mean, that's a good experience, actually. Like classic.
Oh, I'm sure.
Movies. Yeah, but I don't know if I want to do it, but that sounds like a lot of fun, especially for the kids.
That's right. So, anyway, I understand your main man is down with the flu.
Yeah, Eddie is.
Hopefully, he gets better.
He's pretty down and out. I think he's trying to power through because he's a man, but I don't know. I worry about him a little bit. He sounded pretty rough on the phone when I talked to him the other day, but he'll be back. Hopefully he'll be back Monday, and so we can do this thing right.
Well, I hope so.
Well, and folks, if you want to do it right in terms of your electronics and appliances, as you just heard, I've experienced it myself. When you buy there, you can also have them come out, set it up. Michael Jacks, the guy is second to none. He really knows his stuff, and it's that extra service that I think really makes a difference there. Cohen's my grandfather, father, and myself, we're all through the generations customers of Cohen's, and I think that's the reason.
Yeah, I think the next step is you're going to have a kid so he can shop here.
Yeah, I know. You and everybody else is like saying, get on that. I'm like, I know. I know. It's just not that easy. Hey, you can always shop from home at thinkcohens.com. Or just stop by the Boulevard is what I really recommend. Go see all this stuff in person at 2515 Eastern Boulevard. Open 9 to 6 Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 on Saturdays. And find Michael and be like, hey, I heard you on that radio show with that Joey Clark guy.
That's right, yeah. Come on out here and see me or some of our people and let us help you make the right choice for whatever your needs are, whether they're appliances or electronics. And have a great and safe weekend.
You too. Have a good weekend, Michael. Appreciate it. Again, that's Michael Cohen with Cohen's Electronics and Appliances. A few minutes left here in the second hour. Now, sticking on the J.D. Vance theme, the fake news just keeps on fake newsing. This time, in the one that's really starting to drive me nuts, in fact, I canceled my subscription that I was expensing, but I was subscribed to the Wall Street Journal just to be able to have access to it. And sometimes they have good op-ed stuff, but the actual news department, I've been so annoyed with them of late that I can't in good conscience. I think it's expensive too. It's like $30 a month. It kept going up. I'm like, I'm done paying you guys. So J.D. Vance's comms guy named William Martin came out blasting the Wall Street Journal because the Wall Street Journal gave out a headline last night saying, exclusive, Vance pledged to hit Russia with sanctions and potentially military action if Putin won't agree to a peace deal that guarantees Ukraine's independence. J.D. Vance's comms guy responding to that says, this is pure fake news. Compared the transcript of J.D. Vance's conversation with Wall Street Journal to the headline being run here. The vice president didn't make any threats. He simply stated the fact that no one is going to take options away from President Trump as these negotiations begin. They asked him, the Wall Street Journal asked Vance, is there a sense as to what is the stick for Putin? I mean, obviously, any kind of deal would have to entail an implicit threat that you have a stick or this or else you have to even sign on the dotted line. Is there any pressure that you're thinking of? Vance responded, I think certainly look there. there are instruments of pressure, absolutely. And again, if you look at President Trump's approach to this, the range of options is extremely broad, and there are economic tools of leverage. There, of course, are military tools of leverage. There's a whole host of things that we could do. But fundamentally, I think the president wants to have a productive negotiation both with Putin and with Zelensky. So just to want to make sure I understand you correctly, asked the Wall Street Journal reporter, you're saying that even though the possibility of Ukraine NATO accession is at the end of this process, or even the presence of U.S. troops in Ukraine is not officially off the table, I think the president has been very clear, says J.D. Vance, that he doesn't like the idea of moving Ukraine into NATO. He's been very clear about that. I also think the president is very clear that whenever he walks in a negotiation, everything is on the table. So that's the transcript. And they ran with Vance pledged to hit Russia with sanctions and possibly military action. Fake!
It's just pure fake.
Oh, and it's stuff like that. Maybe it's one story one day. It's not the end of the world, but it's just a pattern of these folks. They cause more confusion than what's actually going on.
I can tell you, I have done that in my head. Meaning I've, talked to this person, that person about a subject, and thought that the facts lined up in a way in my head, and I got really excited and I went to go write it out, and I'm collecting all this data, and then I realized what I thought happened didn't actually happen,
Right.
and the story's not quite as juicy. It's disappointing. I've never published it to where it's like it's just an absolute falsehood.
Right. And especially something of this
Magnitude,
yeah, the stakes of this. And it's clearly the Wall Street Journal trying to stick their nose in something they should just be reporting on, not actually trying to influence. But there's the legacy media for you, the miserable corporate press. Can't have nothing with these folks. And coming up, we might have to get into how AP has been banned.
Yeah. It's because they said it's because of their style guide advice, right? To not to keep using the Gulf of Mexico, not the Gulf of America.
Yeah, it's Gulf of America now, AP.
Yeah, the AP style guide it's good 80% of the time, and then just 20% of it's just gobbledygook.
Yeah, it's sometimes they get in that little ideological stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's I one time got in trouble because there was a House of Representatives candidate in Alabama who was transgender. It was a man pretending to be a woman, and I used male pronouns, and their comms person got in touch with me and was like, surely you wouldn't go against the AP style guide, and sent me the thing, and I was like, I don't take my my writing tips from ideologically compromised institutions. Thank you very much.
Surely you wouldn't do this. That's awful.
Like it's just, and even dumb stuff like capitalize black but not white.
Right.
Use more inclusive language over here. Maybe Grammarly is the worst about that. I don't know if you've ever used it.
I don't use it anymore. Haven't in years.
Yeah, it's gotten very good. Their actual ability to check grammatical errors is pretty unparalleled, but they have the tone police option of it. It's like some people find businessmen to be uninclusive, perhaps a business person.
I try not to have to use the grammar or the spell check much. There are certain words I'm all right with spelling, but there are certain words I just like restaurant. For some reason, I'll have just like in my brain, I don't know how to spell that word.
There are two words I will misspell the first time every single time. One is sheriff, and the other is similar. Similar gets me every single time. Restaurant, no problem. Wandolin Gavan, not a problem.
Right, easy.
Nothing. Even like difficult words. What was another one? I spelled concupiscent right on the first try the other day, but sheriff, nope. I'll put two F's at the end every single time, every time. And similar, I can't even tell you how I do it. I will sit there and be like, this, how to spell it right, and I will not do it. There's a mental block. Anywho, so that's a sidebar.
We'll get into all that, and also want to hear about the State House and your reporting this week. We'll get into some state politics. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusada, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Debris flows brought on by the strongest atmospheric river of the season has swept a car off a Southern California highway and into the ocean. It's left roads submerged in sludge. To the north, snow and ice caused major pileups on highways in Oregon and Washington, injuring at least 10 people. The West Coast storms just the latest in a week of bad weather across the U.S. Jeff Bezos' rocket company Blue Origin cutting 10% of its workforce. The move comes just a month after the debut of Blue Origin's new Glenn rocket, which reached orbit on its first try. Wall Street flirting with a record as U.S. stock indexes drift following some mixed profit reports from big companies. The Dow losing 117 points, but the NASDAQ is ahead 51. This is SRN News.
For many out on the streets with no address, when the hope dies, it's hard to be found.
You get these people off our streets now.
It's not that simple. They're human beings. Where are they meant to go?
Homelessness could happen to anyone.
I don't know how much longer I can do this.
Their story is our story.
You never know in life why things work out the way they do. Never give up.
No Address, starring William Baldwin, Ashanti, and Ty Pennington. In theaters February 28th. Get your tickets at noaddressmovie.com.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money, but if you can get both, why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare, and that's MediShare. You get both. The typical family saves $500 a month and they love it. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. So yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Call now. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Riverside Chevrolet Wetumpka. If it's Chevy, it's Riverside. Best price, best selection. Check them out on the web at riversideusa.net.
We're enjoying a brief break in between storm systems before that next significant threat over the weekend. On this Valentine's Day, sunshine, breezy, cool, high temperature up to about 63. Mostly cloudy, maybe an isolated shower tonight. Overnight low temperature down to about 50. Saturday's high up to about 75. Risk of showers and thunderstorms breaking out Saturday afternoon. But then Saturday night and especially through the overnight hours, a rather significant severe weather threat, including the threat of tornadoes. We're watching this storm system carefully. Overnight low 58. Could be a leftover shower early in the day on Sunday. Then breezy and colder. We'll be in the upper 20s on Sunday night and barely up to about 51 by Monday. That's President's Day. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
You can make your ASE loan payment from your phone anytime, anywhere. It's quick and easy. YourASECreditUnion.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal Opportunity Lender.
1819 News.
A grant tracking website is now revealing how much federal money was sent to state agencies here in Alabama, as well as nonprofits, in order to pay or house migrants. 1819 News reporter Caleb Taylor has written about money that was tracked by Data Republican. The total amount is $7.5 million sent to the state of Alabama. $1.9 million went to the Alabama Department of Education for migrant education. $4 million was sent to the group called Alabama Nonprofit Housing, and $1.2 million went to the Alabama Medicaid Agency for refugee cash and medical assistance. Almost $150,000 was granted to the Hispanic and Immigrant Center of Alabama. That organization has made written statements on their website in support of undocumented migrants in the community, pledging to stand alongside the illegal alien every step of the way. I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Some of the greatest blessings is just having people that care about you. To have someone that's just going to love you and make you feel important. They encourage you to be in church. They encourage you to be in prayer. They encourage you to be in your Bible. Now it's a part of my day every day. My house parents planted seeds in me that you can see where those seeds have sprouted in my life and helped change my life.
Big Oak Ranch, a Christian home for children needing a chance.
This past Thursday, a bill arrived on Governor Ivey's desk that was signed into law. The What is a Woman Act defines sex as either male or female and determined at birth. The bill further defines a female as a person whose reproductive system produces eggs and a male as a person whose reproductive system produces sperm. Governor Ivey said that here in Alabama, we believe there are two genders, male and female, and there's nothing complicated or controversial about it, and no need to call a biologist to determine that fact. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Now you can add the power of digital advertising to the number one reach of radio. Let Blue Water's 20 years of local advertising and marketing success show you how. Grow your business with a complete suite of digital solutions, combined with the reach of the most listened to radio group in the river region. Call us or go to BlueWaterBroadcasting.com to find out how we can increase your return on investment. Blue Water Broadcasting, local folks helping local business.
For more information, send an email to digital@bluewaterbroadcasting.com.
For many children, stability is something they have never experienced. At the Alabama Sheriff's Youth Ranches, we offer hope, healing, and a family to children in need. But behind every success story, our house parents are the heart of our ranches. We're looking for compassionate couples to join our mission. We provide housing, medical benefits, a 401k, paid vacation, and the chance to make a lasting difference. The Alabama Sheriff's Youth Ranches. Be the love, be the guidance, be the family they need. Visit alsyr.org.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Oh, girl, baby girl.
Oh, really?
Don't even play.
Shut up,
silly woman.
Joey Clark.
How dare you? You have stolen my dreams, my childhood, with your empty words.
Man, that's just harsh, Greta. I did like that, that JD Vance used that line. If we can tolerate Greta Thunberg all those years, you can tolerate Elon Musk.
What's Greta up to these days? I haven't heard much from her.
I think the last I saw her, she did a protest and got arrested, but it was kind of a fake staged thing.
Yeah, she's done a few of those.
Right. It's just, it's an interesting moment in time. On this theme of they just don't get it, and hopefully there isn't cursing in this, it was Jon Stewart's podcast. You know Jen Psaki.
Jen Psaki?
Yeah. The redhead.
Yeah.
She was on with Jon Stewart. And I haven't even listened to this. I've just seen the quotes. Right-wing ecosystem supportive of the Trump enterprise. Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn are part of that right-wing ecosystem.
These people don't know what to do with comics. And this is where, like, Jon Stewart is, like, whenever he's on point is exactly whenever he's being most like a comic.
Yeah.
And when he's wrong is whenever he's most like a libtard.
Right.
Because the problem is comics instinctively find the absurdity in everything.
Yes.
And when you're a left-winger like Miss Psaki here, your entire worldview is sort of ludicrous and so and absurd. And so when comics observe what you do in the political sphere, there's just it's just so blatantly clear to them because they're not caught up in it.
And this is the distinction Jew or Gentile. Mm-hmm. And you make a mistake if you ask, what do Gentiles think? And it's like, well, that could be all sorts of things. Anybody who's not Jewish, like that could be all sorts of different people in that category of being not Jewish. And I think the left makes a similar mistake that anything they're left and anything not left is just right wing. And that can mean Joe Rogan or that can mean Steve Bannon. I mean, it can mean all sorts of odd things that just don't fit in with them.
Literally in their world, Joe Rogan, RFK Jr., Nick Fuentes, and George Bush are all can all be put in the same group in their silly, stupid minds.
Yes,
which is just for someone like you or I, that's like so absurd.
Yes,
we understand what those people are as different as night and day from one another. But what has united them is their hatred and their loathing for you.
Yeah.
And what you've done to this country, and what people that share your mentality. I was talking with one of the few friends I have in the Alabama press corps here, out full on lefty, just good guy, but like straight up socialist type.
Fair.
And him and I were having this discussion, and he actually brought something up to me that I thought was interesting, and I hadn't thought about this. He said that you can look at Google Analytics and see directly after the Occupy Wall Street movement, when the acceleration of these terms like racism, sexism, homophobia, and all this other stuff. And I'm talking to a lefty, and I knew that had happened, but to me, it coincided with the Obama administration, not the Occupy Wall Street movement. And I'm looking at him like, oh man, even the for real lefties, not these super socially aware people that talk about social justice, but the real lefties, they believe that all this stuff is a psyop too.
Yes. Yeah, and he's absolutely 100% right. A lot of libertarians, Dave Smith has made that point many a time, is that you see at Occupy Wall Street, the socialist types, even the black bloc anarchist Antifa types, but you also saw a lot of libertarians and in the Fed, Ron Paul types, and you saw a lot of Tea Party types, just kind of conservative everyday folks that were like, these bank bailouts, really? So there was this populist unity bubbling up, and he is exactly right. They started using all this identity politics terms to essentially scuttle and spread apart that whole coalition that was being built.
Yeah.
To get them back into, you get in line and you're going to get Hillary Clinton, who's giving secret speeches to all the big banks saying, I just say things to people. I'm going to really do it.
Oh, I only took the money from no money from the executives.
Oh, another example, Tulsi Gabbard was the co-chair of the DNC.
Yeah.
And Bernie Sanders doesn't have the balls, pardon me, or the spine, to put it a little more nicely, or the integrity to actually stand up for Tulsi in this confirmation vote.
Yeah, I mean, but he lost credibility to me. I thought he was kind of like a Chomsky for idiots for a while, but no, not at all. Because during when Hillary campaign bent him over and showed him the 50 states, he would name that movie. He just took it, and then when he was on stage and those black women came up and took over the mic and started yelling about social justice.
He didn't know what to do.
And he was just like, oh, I don't know what to do. And they turned out to be like the people that you pay to do that exact thing.
Yep.
And so, like, again,
I believe in economic justice. It brings white and black and Jew and Gentile together. And no.
So
shut up.
So somehow the entirety of the Democratic Party, and this is what was relevant about my buddy's comments yesterday, they have bought into the PSYOP. They are the PSYOP now. And it's really bizarre because you hear about the right-wing psyops, especially with the anti-Semitism, how the Jew conversations are very psyopy.
Yeah,
but
the woke right stuff. Yeah.
But the entire party of the entire Democratic Party has bought into their own psyop. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and it's almost like people realizing, it's almost like what's the Ridley Scott movie with Harrison Ford, Blade Runner?
Blade Runner, yeah.
Yeah, or I'm just imagining a marionette going, wait, I have strings? Oh, right, where do these strings lead? And I do wonder, I think some folks that voted for Trump that are part of that team now already went through that process going, wait, what are these strings attached to me?
I had strings, but now I'm free.
Now, here's the clip-in question that spurred all this conversation. This is Jon Stewart with Jen Psaki.
Stop saying your name wrong.
Psaki?
It's Pisaki.
No. Okay.
Scarborough shouldn't be allowed in this country. and then like Rachel Maddow, like it's schizophrenic at times. Like, yeah, I do think there should be some semblance of an idea that, look, they're kicking progressive ass right now. And if progressives don't organize their media, their think tanks and all that, it's going to continue to happen. It's chaos.
Well, I will say, broadly speaking, I'm going to say Democrats, I'm going to say people on the left do not do that the right does very well is support within the system each other.
What?
I'm serious. Like, and what I mean by this is this, right?
Yeah.
Theo Vaughn appears on Joe Rogan's show, right? He promotes what Joe Rogan's doing. They all promote all of the things each other are doing and what the elected officials, I guess, are doing too. And the left is a little bit more kind of discombobulated in terms of supporting the different entities on the left. There is not a left ecosystem that matches the right ecosystem.
But Ailes didn't do that either. It was the principle, the ideological principles, not the party. He and Murdoch the same way. They're promoting an ideological worldview.
Yeah, but guys, y'all are completely off. Just
they're not even having the same conversation.
Like Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn are friends.
Yeah,
and that's why they promote each other's stuff, because they're fellow comedians and they like each other,
and they're talking BS on the radio. Essentially, I mean, it's a podcast, but it's like they're doing what we do. Two people that like each other, or three people, whenever homeboy's not sick, just who like together, getting rather talking some nonsense, talking together important stuff, exchanging ideas. That's not an ecosystem of the right wing.
No,
and for you to and for that dunderhead to sit there and go that the left doesn't know how to stick together. Are you kidding me? Are you joking? It's one of the things they do best. Right. You have AOC and Bernie Sanders and Kissinger all in the same party, and none of them talk about the nonsense that the other person says. Meanwhile, the Republicans are always sniping at one another. They don't have unity in the Republican Party. You got the rhinos and the establishment, and then you got the new right people. It's obviously a part of a sort of internal revolution in the GOP right now. And I think that's ultimately a good thing. But are you R-worded, woman? Like, what are you talking about?
I don't think they know what hit them. I think my theory, maybe I'm being self-serving promoting my theory, but it's not mine. A lot of people have made this point. It's the technological shift.
100.
Theo Vaughn, for instance, he's a friends with RFK Jr. Like they went falconing and all this other stuff, and they like doing outdoorsy stuff. And that's fantastic. And Theo always struck me as kind of a populist sort of guy, but he didn't fit neatly. And Joe Rogan was voting for Bernie Sanders a few years ago.
Yeah. He says he felt the burn more than anything else.
Yeah, and so it's just like, guys, no, you've lost the plot that the new technology is allowed for new mediums, and the mediums allow for just a different understanding of the world. The same, I think this think tank apparatus, a lot of stuff they built is just not effective anymore. And then you now are seeing Doge dismantle some of this like system that gives out a bunch of money to these NGOs. That's why they're freaking out, because it's not only did we miss this moment, we don't understand our enemy, also our enemy is now gorging us and goring the very institutions that keep us afloat somewhat.
Yeah, and you're exactly right about the technological side of it too, because what they've seen is it's embarrassing to watch the Democrats, especially in the political sphere, when they, or even in the media, when they try to give these comments and articulate things. It used to be you would watch CNN and they would all be sitting there agreeing with one another, or they'd have some right wing idiot on and they would just talk over them, and you'd be like, yeah, they're smushing the right wing. Now you have these commentators, and especially Twitter, where people can just roast some nonsense that a newscaster or a politician said, and people are saying, oh wow, there really is no intellectual substance to what you're saying. And God, like Jon Stewart, I will give it to him.
Yeah,
he was at least on the money there in that conversation, talking about how it is ideologically driven. It's not, there's no ideological copaceticness between Theo Vaughn and Joe Rogan as part of a right-wing ecosystem. Like you said, they're just friends talking.
Right. And this is what they don't understand. That actually the very ideological right-wingers realized, oh, we can just be friends. And these guys just want to have a conversation. Like, be cool, man. And like Rogan's show is a hangout. You're just hanging out. And that's what Trump did. That's what J.D. Vance did. And they were willing, without a bunch of staff around them, just to be people. Like, don't be so guarded in who you are. And that's something that I think the Republicans who have been mostly knocked out at this point were so bad at. It's what so many of the mainstream Democrats continue to be bad at. They come across as puppets. You come across as contrived. You come across as like you've thought about that thing, particular message discipline. Not to say you throw message discipline out the window. Trump certainly has it, so does Vance. But you have to be able to present yourself as a person without all the normal shields you might use in the press. It's not a 10-minute hit with Fox News or MSNBC or CNN. Yeah. It's not a 10-minute hit on talk radio anymore. It is long-form, conversations where it's not anything in particular you necessarily say. It's more people being able to get to know you as you talk about so many other things.
Yeah, and look at what we've seen just recently with, let's just say, the Israel-Palestine or the Ukraine-Russia situation. How many long-form online debates have there been about these very important issues?
A lot.
That did not exist when I was growing up. You would have talking heads in a 10-minute segment on Fox News with a delay because one's in DC and one's in Maryland or whatever. And you never get to the substance of issues through that. And this new media outlets, this new media landscape that we have has allowed those conversations to take place. And that's why, dude, people are the trans agenda, the federal spending, even the foreign wars, people are turning on those in big ways because of this new level of information that we have out there. Now, definitely there's a second edge to that double-sided sword, and it obviously can cut both ways, but this is an infinitely better option than what we had before, where people just repeat whatever some doomkopf said on CNN or MSNBC.
Right, and there's much less control of things, and we're
It's
only
beautiful.
just beginning too. So the potato, Brian Stelter.
What is he up to these days?
I don't know. He's still posting on X, and he has the quote of the new statement from the Associated Press, from the AP. Quote, the decision by the White House to block an AP reporter from an open press conference with President Trump and Prime Minister Modi is a deeply troubling escalation of the administration's continued efforts to punish the Associated Press for its editorial decisions. It is a plain violation of the First Amendment, and we urge the Trump administration in the strongest terms to stop this practice. This is now the third day AP reporters have been barred from covering the president, first as a member of the pool, and now from a formal press conference. An incredible disservice to the billions of people who rely on the Associated Press for nonpartisan news. Nonpartisan. Okay. Well, and it's not a violation of the First Amendment. It's a privilege to talk to the president. In fact, the River Region's own Caitlin Collins asked Caroline Leavitt, the new press secretary, who is impressive so far.
Very much so.
She's asked about this.
This official made the decision to bar the AP reporter from the Oval Office and the diplomatic reception room last night.
Well, first of all, let me just set the record straight. It is a privilege to cover this White House. It's a privilege to be the White House press secretary. And nobody has the right to go into the Oval Office and ask the President of the United States questions. That's an invitation that is given. And there are hundreds of outlets on this campus, many of you in this room who don't have the privilege of being part of that pool every single day and getting to ask the President questions. We reserve the right to decide who gets to go into the Oval Office, and you all have credentials to be here, including the Associated Press, who is in this briefing room today.
But isn't it retaliatory in nature is the argument, because the reason that the AP was barred, which they said was because they're not using the phrase Gulf of America, they're using Gulf of Mexico in line with their standards. And so the question here is this setting a precedent that this White House will retaliate against reporters who don't use the language that you guys believe reporters should use? And how does that align with the First Amendment commitment that you were just talking about?
I was very upfront in my briefing on day one that if we feel that there are lies being pushed by outlets in this room, we are going to hold those lies accountable. And it is a fact that the body of water off the coast of Louisiana is called the Gulf of America. And I'm not sure why news outlets don't want to call it that, but that is what it is. The Secretary of Interior has made that the official designation in the geographical identification name server. And Apple has recognized that. Google has recognized that. Pretty much every other outlet in this room has recognized that body of water as the Gulf of America. And it's very important to this administration that we get that right, not just for people here at home, but also for the rest of the world.
And by the way, most importantly, the Floribama has recognized that.
It's like it's so silly because it's like, yeah, most outlets don't get access to the White House. I don't know if you know that. Most outlets don't get access to the White House. And yeah, you're not obligated. And yeah, it sure, me as a reporter, if there was an attempt from our state leadership to bar us from the State House, for instance, I would expect a good reason. If one of those reasons was you're lying about what we're doing here, and that was objectively true, I wouldn't have much of a leg to stand on.
Right. It's just interesting seeing the back and forth, and a new sheriff in charge. Yeah. Spelled with
Is
one
she
F.
is she your new one since Anna Paulina Luna's in a little bit of trouble these days?
No, she doesn't, like, not to be too crude, she doesn't do it for me. I think she's brilliant. I think she is very beautiful, but it's not like I don't.
What about your boo thing? Have you seen the beating that she's been taking on X? Is Anna Paulina Luna?
No, what happened with her?
Talking about how she's used the fake name as a former stripper and all this good stuff.
I heard the show before this talking about her, like a stripper and all. I thought she was smart, and I'm like, hey, ladies, come on. Looking good and naked is worth a few IQ points. I don't know if you're gaining them or I'm losing them, but like, what do you? Okay, this is my own opinion.
Yes,
I think there are clearly in the sex worker industry, the vast majority, a lot of folks coming from broken homes, down and out, making awful decisions out of an awful situation. However, I've met people who we say were strippers for a little while, and why do they do it? Because they were pretty entrepreneurial. They realized I can make a bunch of money real quick while I say get a college degree, and I can go do a bunch like this. I can make a lot of money real fast, and I'll go, and I'm not going to do this but for a year or two. Like, I mean, I just find that interesting.
Are there strippers anymore? Like strip clubs? I've never been to a strip club, but it seems like everything's so online and OnlyFans now, and you don't have to deal with someone actually in front of you.
I think
possibly
the
being creepy.
Atlanta, Houston, New Orleans. There's a lot. There's a scene.
I've never understood
Vegas
that.
for certain. Yeah.
I've honestly never understood the appeal. It's almost like going hey, it's a restaurant where you get to smell the burgers, and that's it.
There is some appeal. I would say I've only been 3 times, and I end up feeling like that was a huge waste of money after the fact, and I feel icky after the fact.
It sounds like you would. Well, first of all, you should feel icky. Bad, Joseph.
Yeah.
But like just the idea of it. I remember when I was going to truck driving school, people were like, "Hey, we're going to the strip club. You want to come?" Why?
You're right.
just why?
But no, like people knocking Anna Paulina Luna for being attractive and using it to make some money back in the day. It doesn't bother me. I kind of like the folks that have that independent, little bit bad streak, and then all of a sudden they're doing great things for the country. I've been saying it for years, Craig, especially as women start taking their place in the sun of politics, and they are.
Mm-hmm.
As much as folks are still licking their wounds about, like, oh, Kamala and Donald Trump's nickname is the glass ceiling. No, if you just look at, like, especially in the Republican Party, but it's also happening for the Democrats, more and more women are rising up. I think one thing that annoys certain groups is that, yes, a very good-looking, well-spoken, smart, attractive woman is going to run circles around you online and in a committee hearing and end up rising very quickly through the ranks. And I think there are some folks who are like, no, I went into this because I never had the opportunities these good-looking ladies had.
But don't you just think that broads are getting a little too lippy these days? Like you were saying that the other day. You were like, man, I don't know.
No, I've always said it.
This Handmaid's Tale thing has got some good stuff to it.
Nancy Mace, that woman is out of control, and I like it. All right, I kind of enjoy the feistiness of it.
See,
I don't mind it.
Is there some reason that you're walking back your previous comments, like that you told me before?
I just follow my passions on the given day.
Is it just because Pamela's now in the room?
No, not at all. I think you're trying to trap me.
Don't let him lie to you. He's a misogynist through
You're
and
not
through.
going to bamboozle me here on my own show. She knows me. We've gotten to know each other.
You're right, Eddie. Eddie's not here, so. By the way, can you settle? Me and Eddie were talking last week. How do you pronounce your last name?
Dubuque.
Dubuque. Okay, I think Eddie said something else.
Say it right.
I did.
I think so.
Yay!
Yeah, you got that right. We talked about it after the fact. Yeah, you got it right. Pamela Dubuque.
I'm so glad that Pamela's here since Eddie's pretending to be sick at home, like a child. I don't know if you heard, but I told him I don't know if it was something because we both shared the same snack, and that same last weekend after we did the show with him, I went home and got the stomach flu too, and it was me, my kids, my wife. It was a nightmare. I lost 20 pounds in a weekend, and
So the weekend before that, it was at my house, and
oh
no,
my daughter is 5, and she lost 10 pounds. She weighed 32 pounds after.
Oh my Lord!
32 pounds.
Scrawny.
Yeah.
Could count every bone down her back.
I couldn't keep anything down, and my poor son, God help him, I had to change his sheets like 8 times over the
I
weekend.
started doing laundry on Sunday night at 1:30, and it went on until Wednesday.
Yeah, and even so, I've just now like gotten some appetite back. That's why I have all my snacks, my gummy bears, and everything, because I'm trying to put a little bit of weight back on, just because it's really the only thing that I can keep down. But yeah,
Look
it was
what
a
I
nightmare.
brought.
Cookies.
Valentine's cookies.
See, I started feeling something coming on and just started pounding Zycam and watched Chimes at Midnight, the Orson Welles Falstaff movie.
Oh wow!
And I felt better. All of a sudden, the next
always
day.
take the siloxanum and Sambucol like religiously whenever I start feeling under the weather.
I was about to say, what did you just say to me? What did you just call me?
It's the flu reliever.
Okay, yeah, right.
I started hearing about it like around COVID, and I haven't stopped taking it.
I thought you said Sambuca. I'm like, well, that's one way to handle
Well,
sickness.
That'll work too.
Yeah, it will.
That usually helps after you feel sick.
Well, no, well, see, that's the thing is like my wife is the only one of us two who actually can have a drink, and so I was like, here, take, I gave her some medicinal stuff to help her with, and oh boy, my sobriety was tested, because I remember back when I was drinking, a little snifter of bourbon would make just about anything disappear, and even if it didn't make it go away, it made you feel a little bit better about the situation. So I almost had to surrender a few of those chips. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I got to hit a break. But first, this part of the program, how appetizing. But it's Smokehouse Pit Barbecue. If you can actually eat, especially, I'm telling you, Eddie, if you're listening right now, once you feel better, big guy, let's go to Smokehouse Pit Barbecue and let's pig out. Because they have so many options there. Like the breakfast is to die for, Tuesday through Sunday. They open up early, and it's a true down-home Southern breakfast. Like custom-made biscuits, breakfast sandwiches, breakfast bowls. The cheese grits are remarkable. Really one of the best things I've eaten in years. And it's calling my name again. I got to get by there. I guess I'll be cheating that weekend that I go by there. But of course, they also do lunch, dinner, best barbecue here in the River region. They're back to the original recipes there at Smokehouse Pit Barbecue. So whether you're looking for something to go or you want to sit down and enjoy the atmosphere there, you're more than welcome. Smokehouse Pit Barbecue, again, located where they've always been, Main Street in Millbrook. And be sure to tell them that Joey, that fellow on the radio, sent you. We'll be right back.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Hi there, I'm Kim Williams with Alabama Home Mortgage.
And I'm Madeline Cannon. And we have some exciting news to share with you. We've been serving the state of Alabama for many, many years. And now we are able and ready to offer the same great mortgage financing in Georgia and Florida as well.
Our company may be Alabama Home Mortgage, but now we can finance your Georgia home mortgage and your Florida home mortgage too. We couldn't be more excited to extend our customer base to our neighboring states. For years, we have had customers call us in hopes we could assist them with purchasing their vacation cabin in North Georgia or their dream home in Florida. And now we can. For those of you who have family and friends that live in Florida and Georgia, be sure to tell them the good news.
Whether you are looking to purchase or refinance a home located in Alabama, Georgia, or Florida, you owe it to yourself to give Alabama Home Mortgage a call at 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or visit us online at myalabamahomemortgage.com to complete an application on your time.
It's not just a slogan. Call Alabama Home Mortgage because, folks, there is a difference in mortgage companies. NMLS 1586-36-8, Equal Housing Lender.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com. This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Adams Drugs has been committed to the healthcare of the people of the River region for over 62 years. We value the trust each customer has in our pharmacists, techs, and entire staff. If you have not experienced the difference of Adams Drugs and are not satisfied with the customer service that you get in the big box stores, we invite you to visit any of our locations and see how committed we are to your satisfaction. Adams Drugs offers a variety of services that you will not find in all pharmacies in the River region. Personalized compounding, area-wide delivery, wellness screenings, immunizations, medication consultations, and specialized packaging, just to name a few. Visit us at our website, adamsdrugs.net, and find the location nearest you. Adams Drugs has 12 convenient locations to serve you. Your satisfaction is our #1 goal. Adams Drugs is your local Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
Rich Thomas weather brought to you by Clark Heating, Air, and Plumbing.
Hey, this is Robbie Clark. Spring is almost here. Stay cool with a spring tune-up with Clark Heating, Air, and Plumbing. Don't wait. Schedule today. Give us a call at 334-277-2125. Alabama certification number 09098.
We've been enjoying a brief break in between storm systems, but that's going to change. On this Valentine's evening, look for maybe an isolated shower somewhere. Mostly cloudy, overnight low temperature down to about 51. Tomorrow, Saturday, high temperature up to about 75. Risk of some showers and maybe some thunderstorms popping up Saturday afternoon. And then a stronger chance of showers and thunderstorms, possibly severe, late Saturday night into the overnight hours, including a tornado threat, overnight low 58. It will turn breezy and colder on Sunday. On Sunday night, I think we fall down to the upper 20s. I kid you not. Maybe a high only up to about 51 on President's Day Monday, but you'll swear it's colder. Get our weather app on your phone or tablet. It's free in the App Store. Search Rich Thomas Weather. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
CB&S Bank has digital banking solutions to help you keep up. Check balances, pay bills, and much more. Learn more at cbsbank.com. Charges and fees may apply from your cellular service provider. Contact your service provider for information. Member FDIC.
Live local talk. The River Region's only 24-hour News Talk FM station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. If you want to get in on the conversation before we close up shop, that's 334-272-9228. This part of the program brought to you by Montgomery Men's Health. And hey, fellas, if you're feeling run down, tired all the live long day, you're starting to see unwanted weight gain, loss of muscle mass, and it's not like you're eating more. It's not like your activity levels or exercise levels have changed, yet you're still seeing that fat gain and muscle loss. Could be you're never in the mood. No libido, no life force, no sex drive to speak of, and no driver motivation in general. Like you're falling asleep right after lunch or dinner. When you wake up in the morning, you're like, what am I even doing? Well, knowing whether you have low testosterone is huge in combating some of these issues. Could be you're hitting middle age, 40s, 50s. You could even be in your 20s and be experiencing low T issues. And the providers there at Montgomery Men's Health will conduct a testosterone-focused lab workup plus a consultation for only $99. Really, it's a quick blood draw, answer a few basic questions about your quality of life, what's going on with you. And if you do, in fact, have low testosterone, they have low T treatments there at Montgomery Men's Health that can truly change men's lives. After treatment, men can experience higher energy, better gains in the gym.
Brother.
That's right, brother. Better mental clarity, improved sleep patterns, a faster metabolism, and you usually even notice an increased libido.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
There's a lot right with it. Call them up today at 440-3663. That's 440-3663. Or go to MontgomeryMen'sHealth.com to book your appointment today. That was the voice of Craig, who is still here, and Pamela Dubuque is now on camera.
Hello.
So for all you dirty dogs out there, I'm sorry.
There aren't any.
Every time we have a
They're all
lady on the show, oh, they're very dignified. You're not getting too many DMs. People sliding into your DMs.
No, because I'm not on here enough on camera, I think, for people to really look me up. And
well, nobody ever slides into my DMs other than Sam, you dirty dog.
Yeah, Sam says things to me.
Though. He's a good man.
Other people have said really mean things to me.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah.
Who calls me Mr. Know-It-All all the time? Is that
Boomer T?
Boomer T. Yeah.
He says it with love.
Somebody who listens here?
Yeah.
Yeah, he says it with love, though.
He does. But I have gotten a few. I heard you on the radio.
Ooh.
Blocking people is really easy though, so I keep them coming.
Yeah, somebody told me like my Elon Musk piece, which was purposely over the top because of all the hate for Elon these days, said they were secondhand embarrassed reading, and they just read the lead in. I'm like, could you do the whole piece actually, sir? Because That's right. But he was secondhand embarrassed. Instead of lashing out, I've got this thing on Twitter or on X now where I instead of like saying something like your embarrassment at my admiration seems like more of a you problem, I just put a kiss emoji and I said you should hear me talk about Prince. I just love unique innovators. And it's true. Like, so I just do the most like straight man, like, or so to speak, like I'm just being nice. We're just having a conversation because Twitter is a minefield of just nastiness going back and forth. So I don't often get to trolls.
I typically have a generic response to that, unless there's something really blatant where they've really left the door open for me to slam it on their head.
Yeah.
I'll just say nobody cares what you think because it's true, and it's true for me too. But you know, I'm not going on your timeline and commenting on your stuff. I sincerely don't care what you think.
My instinct
Captain
is more
Poopy
like
Farts.
if you think you can say anything to me that's meaner than what I've already said to myself.
Yeah.
Like my self-loathing is so immense, I use it as a shield.
Yeah, there you go.
I think I said that like one of the first shows that I did with you. I was like, "There's nothing you can say to me that's anything worse than what I've said." Looking at myself in the mirror, pinching my belly fat, and just saying, "Who are you?" It's true. Like self-hatred is really a boon whenever people come after you on the internet.
Now, ain't that counterintuitive? Body dysmorphia is actually a good thing for traversing online interweb wars.
It very much is.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whenever so a lot of my social media pictures back like a year and a half ago when we had that whole drama were from whenever I was about 60 pounds heavier. And so people kept making like fun of my neck. They called me Neckzilla because I had like a really big neck at that point. And I felt really bad because I can't get on there and be like, wait, I'm skinny now. Don't talk about my neck. So I just had to let it happen.
Neckzilla is pretty fun. I'm sorry.
No, more than one person, which made me think, like, I've even had my tonsils removed. I can't get it any smaller.
Okay,
What am I supposed to do?
one that came to mind that did like go, I was like, hey, how dare you? It was a photo because I hate taking these photos after I interview somebody. But Eddie's like, take a photo with Katie Britt, take a photo with Senator Britt, and I'm standing there and like you
look like a hostage. You look like it was an ISIS video.
No, it's a normal photo. But somebody goes in and comments, this guy could have at least worn fresh pants and not the jeans he's been wearing for a week.
Oh my
and I'm
gosh.
like, you were looking at my pants?
Nothing. You guys have nothing on me as a 6 foot tall woman
Ooh.
in pictures.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah,
Nothing on me.
You kind of stand
Next
out
to
as a tall
men,
woman.
Next to women, it's unparalleled to any experience, I think.
Oh, no.
Seriously.
Do you just hate
next to a 5 foot tall woman, I feel like a ginormous person. I'm just like, this is not fair. Like by myself, phenomenal. Just can't beat it. But next to a teeny tiny little woman, I'm like, I'm just a jolly green giant.
And the problem is that kind of limits you with men too. Yeah, and you're wearing giant boots. That doesn't help.
But I love being tall. I would rather be tall. For real. I love it.
I wish I was 6 foot tall. I'm 6'3", and I think that's too much. I think 6'3", I hit my head on things.
okay.
I trip too often.
See what you're doing.
I think 6 foot tall is
I thought
perfect.
Eddie being off today, none of the now you're just doing it indirectly.
Oh,
like, 6'3"'s too tall.
I'm sorry,
I wish
what,
I was 6'3".
I'm sorry, what's that, Joseph, with the Lollipop Guild? What'd you say?
Yeah, I know.
Get it? Get the joke?
But they went after my pants,
They
man.
did go
Like
after your pants.
I'm like, wait, you zoomed in, and I did zoom in. I'm like, yeah, those pants are a little wrinkly.
Well, speaking of your attire, I feel really disappointed in the camera because it's I'm looking at your video right now and it's not doing justice to the beautiful color of that sweatshirt of yours. It is a gorgeous
looks
color.
Gray on camera.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's such beautiful lavender.
It is lavender.
You look like you would give the best snuggles right now. I don't know why.
God.
It's not an offer.
All right, appreciate you being here, Craig.
You can't hide from yourself, Joseph.
And let's go to one of these people on the phone. Let's go to line 1. You're on there. Who's this? Anybody?
If you called the show, start talking now, please.
Show signs of life.
Nope. All right, 3, 2, 1. That's it.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Hey, who's this?
Hey, let's just say my name's Bill.
Hey, Bill. How you doing?
I'm okay. I want to report a traffic light out.
Okay.
And if it doesn't get fixed, it's going to be a big hassle at rush hour. But at the corner of South Street and Perry, a lady hit the power box that controls the power light there, and that light is out.
Ooh. So South Street and Perry.
Yeah, if you've left downtown on any road that runs opposite of Perry, and you're trying to get to 65, you're going to be at that light, and the light is out
Ooh, okay.
because of an accident. A lady ran into the power box next to the pole. So.
Those women drivers, you know what I mean?
They'll just give a license to anybody.
It could happen to anybody if they weren't paying attention. So, but anyway, I just thought, hopefully that gets cleared up before the rush hour because it'll be pretty hectic if they don't get it fixed.
I appreciate you letting folks know, Bill. Really do.
All right, thank you.
272-9228. That's 334-272-9228. And at this point, my give a damn is broken. Seriously.
It's Friday.
You need a Dutch boy to, never mind.
No, this guy keeps
Just a
having
Dutch boy.
like dreams about being what in Holland?
Yeah, Holland. I was gonna check him out. You remember the old children's story about the little Dutch boy with his finger in the dike? I was gonna make a very inappropriate joke, but you know what? The angels of my better nature prevailed. So,
well, just you describing it sounds inappropriate. So thank you.
Sorry,
I appreciate.
Wait, you did? Am I the only one that read that story growing up?
The Dutch boy with his finger in the dike?
Yeah, it's a very popular short story.
I don't know.
Because a dike, which is a dam,
yeah,
and there's a leak, there was a hole in it, and so he saved the entire town by keeping his finger blocking this hole, and it's a metaphor about
pressure is he able to put on with one finger.
It's a children's story, but
I feel like it would get stuck too, and he'd really regret that.
Well, I can see the confusion now because I thought this was a commonly read story.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
I'm gonna see who wrote it.
I know The Boy Cried Wolf.
Yeah, Jack and Jill.
Like Hansel and Gretel.
Which, by the way, is there a more frightening story in all of Western lore than Hansel and Gretel?
Probably not.
No.
So frightening.
Like to be led to some weird hideout where it's a witch who's going to eat you, right? Isn't that the whole thing? Ugh. Anyway, I know a few Aesop off the top of my head. But boy, we don't have to go into that.
No, we don't.
That's just stupid. Let's go to line one. You're on there. Who's this?
Hi, this is Gail.
Hey, Gail. How are you?
Hey, I just wanted to say thank you to President Trump because when he was in office the first time, my husband had a stroke, and they put him on this medication, and he's a veteran. And so they didn't want to fill this prescription at the VA. So guess what I did? I called the White House, and I asked to speak with someone, and they put me on the phone with somebody connected to the Veterans Administration. And guess what? My husband got his med.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
That's awesome. So thank you, President Trump.
Thank you for sharing that, Gail. And how are y'all doing these days?
We're getting by.
Yes, ma'am.
And so, yeah, every day's a better day. Hopefully. Some days are bad, but lots of times they're pretty good.
Well, I appreciate you listening. Appreciate you calling that in.
Okay. Y'all have a great day.
You too.
You too.
Well, that was sweet.
A short story within the novel has become well known in its own right in popular culture. Thank you, Wikipedia.
Is this the one where the boy's like the emperor doesn't have any clothes on, he's naked?
Yeah, it's from it's a short story that's in a novel called Hans Brinker, and so I just knew but it's a very popular American short story, and the judgment from the two of you was palpable. So. That's true. What's the name of the lady? Mary Mapes Dodge. I honestly have never heard of her, so I feel bad now.
Let's go to line 3. You're on there. Who's this?
It's the Master Thespian.
Hey.
Hang on just a second. I'm here at the drive-through line in Hardee's trying to pay for my meal. Hang on a second. Let me pull out the card.
What'd you get? Say it slow and sultry.
I got the maple bacon burger. Oh, it's so good.
Now say it in a French accent.
Man, that sounds like sticky.
I feel like it would hurt my stomach to eat that.
Yeah. Oh, I just wanted to say, what in God's name is going on there? Y'all talking about little Dutch boys sticking fingers in dikes. What makes you think to?
It's a classic story, apparently, to teach children a lesson.
This is well known.
Well, I've heard it. I may have read it at one point in time, but it was a long, long time ago.
Excuse me for being cultured.
You're generations ahead of us.
The master thespian even laughed at that one. I'm so sorry.
Well, I've heard you way too many times, Craig Munder, so I think I know who you really are. But anyway, I'm enjoying the show today. I loved you guys playing the J.D. Vance speech. That was awesome.
Yeah, it's great having that guy as vice president.
He is awesome.
I would totally hang out with that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a real man. You know, he's not a wimpy man like Pence was. Pence, I always thought he was like a giant G.I. Joe, you know? But J.D. Vance is the real deal. So I agree with you. I think he'd be a great president. But I mean, here we are talking about him being a president. We're only in February. We're only a month into, we're not even a month into Trump's second presidency. It's crazy.
It really is crazy how fast it's moving.
Yeah, on Alabama Unfiltered, I think it was Allison Sinclair that said it's like an advent calendar. Every day
Yes,
you get a new
I heard
prize.
that. I love that. That's exactly what it's like.
And it's great. It's great. I am loving this. I'm loving the meltdown from the left. This is just exactly what I voted for, man. Exactly what I voted for. So keep it up.
Appreciate it, Master
Y'all be
Thespian.
good.
You too. Well, and this was the classic from this week. What is it? Sharkowski? Congresswoman Sharkowski?
Yesterday, I met with a manufacturing company, but they also are engaged in getting young people more engaged in manufacturing. So I asked them, so how many of those students that are signing up and want to do this, how many are women?
Yeah.
And they said, well, I know there's at least 13% or something. It was a low number. And you had mentioned trying to engage more women in manufacturing. I'm just wondering if just the name manufacturing sounds like a guy. Yes.
Women manufacturing will draw them in.
Sounds like a guy. Mr. Facturing? What? I mean, like...
Yeah,
How ridiculous.
I looked at that and I'm like, she probably doesn't even know how to bake cookies, and she's, for some reason that's unexplainable, smells like licorice all the time.
And she's dresses like Dolores Umbridge for no
exactly what I thought.
for no apparent reason.
That's just manufacturing.
But it was like our wonderful governor, Kay Ivey, sorry, Meemaw, but yesterday she's like, I signed a proclamation declaring it Women in Construction Week. And I was like, oh, you mean for both of the people in the state, that the women in the state that work in
all
construction?
10 of them are overjoyed.
Meanwhile, it's like a crane operator that's like has a dip in her mouth and definitely is not attracted to men.
Hey,
Like, yeah.
Governor, don't make me get the Grok AI photos out again. I was having too much fun that day. I'm now imagining her working with Missy at her hip on some construction site. Oh, Missy, we got to get this up and running. Get those footings down, Missy. Can you pull the creek?
Why don't you just let people be into what they're into? If they don't want to do it, then don't do it.
We need more women in construction.
Yeah, because it's a basic psychological temperament thing. It's not all, but most women are interested in people. Most guys are interested in things. It's one of the biggest distinguishing. And so,
absolutely,
the people interested in things tend to go into engineering.
Where's the proclamation? We need more men in nursing. Nobody cares. Like, nobody cares that it's a female-dominated space, or teachers, or anything like this. It's like, you can have your thing if you're naturally drawn to it. Nothing's stopping you.
Right.
But women don't go into construction, not because there's systemic barriers, but because it's just not a thing. It's
not that interesting.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry.
How is that controversial?
Yeah.
I hate it here.
I don't want to go operate heavy equipment.
So,
Sorry.
little girl, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a brick mason.
Now, my daughter
Like-
might be into that because she is wild. She might
Yeah.
want to have a wrecking ball attached to a crane and swing things
Yeah,
and
man.
break it for sure.
You're right. Hey, we have to hit this last break. We'll be right back.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Hello, I'm Mr. Ben. If your vehicle has seen better days, fear not, help is on the way. Mr. Ben's Auto Spa Express has added a professional detail shop. Specialized techniques and products are used to get your vehicle back to showroom shape. Hand washing, waxing, stain removal, odor removal, shampooing, minor scratch removal, and more. Mr. Ben's Auto Spa Express, next to Fraser Church on the Atlanta Highway. Come by for a free estimate. Look like you've been to Mr. Ben.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
On FM, on your smartphone, and online, the River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Welcome back. Let's go right to the phones and talk to Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet. Hey, Ray, how you doing today?
Man, we are doing great. It's Valentine's Day. The day made for love, isn't it?
Indeed.
And if you want to really feel like you're in love with something, you ought to come look at some flooring at Prattville Carpet because you're going to love them every time.
Oh, it is. Y'all showroom is fantastic. And y'all got so much product. I mean, I don't even know how I would decide.
Look, most times people are in and out in 10, 15 minutes. It's super easy. We take all the stress out of it. We make it super fun. And take the samples home, look at them. Next thing you know, you got a new floor down. Just that simple.
It really is that simple, folks. Call them up today, 285-8117. And bonus points when you call them at 285-8117. Be like, hey, I heard Ray on that radio show with that Joey fella.
And mention that you're going to love your floors. And I'll tell you what I'll do is throw in some 8-pound pad for free.
Ooh.
Just this weekend.
Valentine's Day special. Say you love your floors. Well, I appreciate it, Ray.
Guys, have a great day.
You have a good weekend, man. So, what are y'all sharing? Valentine's memes?
I'll share this.
Yes, I
I'll
did.
share this with the audience. It was a text I just received from my wife. She said, your son was helping me take the groceries into the house, and I gave him a 2-liter to carry. A few minutes later, I realized I couldn't find him, and I was 1 soda short. I found him in the bathroom with his 2-liter, opened it up, and he was drinking from it. So he was hiding in the bathroom.
How can you even be mad at that?
I'm not mad. It's the funniest thing I've heard all day.
Hilarious.
Oh.
Jacqueline did send me Valentine's memes.
Mm.
This one has Donald Trump on it, and it says, "Are you the Gulf of Mexico? Because I want to change your name."
Ooh, I like that one.
JD Vance's is roses are red, violets are blue. I don't really care, Margaret, but I care about you. Elon's, are you Donald Trump? Because I want to spend literally every single second of my life with you. RFK Jr.'s is, are you Red Dye 40? Because I want to take you
That
out.
was my favorite. That's my favorite.
That's the best one.
And then Joe Biden's is just a keyboard smash with a bunch of different letters. And it's unintelligible.
I'm Dr. Joe Biden, and I love you.
Let's go to line 3. You're on there. Who's this?
This is Pete. How are you today?
Good. How you doing, Pete?
Hey, I'm doing good. Hey, I just want to let you know that you were talking about the little boy and the dike and the Brothers Grimm. If you ever read the original Brothers Grimm stories, they are very dark.
Super dark. What is it? These Germanic writers writing weird, horrible, freaky tales.
They wanted to scare their children into compliance.
This is true.
And they're German.
Learn your rules. Learn your rules.
Well, it's been a while since I've actually read the original source material there with Brothers Grimm, so I'll have to take you up on that, sir.
Take care. Have a good weekend.
You too.
Don't fall out any boats, Pete.
And line 4, you're on there. Who's this?
Yeah, this is Robert. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. First-time caller. I heard you guys earlier talking about dreams and drugs and that kind of stuff, and it remind me of a good story. I'm a retired general officer, and at one point I was working for the Secretary of Defense, and we were in a staff meeting. It was back at a time where we were looking at religious accommodation, like should people of Jewish faith be able to wear a yarmulke with their uniform? And one of the members at the table was the assistant head chaplain for the Department of Defense, and he brought up the subject about, do we allow Indians to participate in their ceremonies that involve smoking peyote? And we all kind of looked at each other, not knowing what to say. And he goes, "Well, I'm going to go and participate in one of these ceremonies in a couple of weeks." And we go, "Okay, knock yourself out." And he comes back a couple weeks later, and he's in the staff meeting. He looks like the guy from Young Frankenstein. His eyes are all bugged out, terribly bloodshot. And we're going, what in the hell did you do? And he said, well, we were in a tent for 2 days, and it was solid smoke. And he goes, I kind of was hallucinating, don't know exactly what we did. And we go, yeah, maybe we don't want to do that with the guy who's fixing jet engine on an airplane.
You're right. That tradition, that's different than wearing a hat.
But anyway, I thought you'd appreciate that. He was definitely hallucinating. He didn't quite remember what he had participated in.
Well, I appreciate it, man. You have a good weekend.
Thanks, you too.
Well, and we're out of time. I already stole some time from Greg Vidal, but thank you for being here, Greg.
It's my pleasure.
And Pamela, this was a great last 30 minutes.
Yeah,
thank
that
you for
was
being
fun.
here.
I think Eddie should be officially replaced.
Oh my gosh, don't tell him that.
You've been replaced by Dubuque. Busted.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM.